Today, we are going to tell you what it's like, all the details of being inside Nintendo headquarters in Japan, and a ton of fun stories, some ridiculous stories, from our first ever trip to Japan together.
Yes, big story this week because this is the big pre-Japan trip extravaganza. We are leaving in a matter of days.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes. I'm
you
so
are?
ready. Yeah.
You're already packed? You got everything ready to go?
I'm so ready. I've been like counting now, like that we've gotten so close to when we're leaving. Now it's just like counting the days, like 6 more days till Japan, 5 more days till Japan, you know, so it's very exciting. And yes, we've been getting all of our stuff together, our plans finalized, but we're pretty much like ready to go. I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
Perfect timing for this episode.
Yes.
It's such a fun story.
It is.
That we're going to get into in just a moment. Some other exciting things that have been happening in our world and on our channel, on our Patreon. MEO, Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club. Wow. Spoiler cast.
You finally got the name right after like months and months and months.
I've had to write it a lot of times to put it into social media posts, so I've got it down now. That is out.
That is out. That is our longest, biggest
2 hours.
spoiler cast to date.
Yeah.
It is really the perfect game for a spoiler cast because there's just so much.
It's all story.
To talk about.
That game lives and dies based on its story.
Yes, and there's a lot of like things that we experience that really is, you know, it's tough to go through the story and experience these things. So it's really nice to have the spoiler cast as a way to like talk about some of this stuff. And we actually haven't seen. We were just saying like we have not seen a lot of people talking about this. No. This is such a interesting thing to have Nintendo release a game like this.
Right.
There's so many themes and so many, just the storyline in general is so different than other Nintendo games. It's a bit controversial as well, so a lot to talk about. We dig into all of that and more in our 2-hour plus MEO spoiler cast. I cried.
Yes, if you're a sicko that would like to watch Krysta cry in a video, this is for you.
You were very prepared with
Or if you're interested in the story of MEO, the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club, this is the video for you.
Yes. But yes,
it's true.
Real emotions happened, okay?
This is a visual novel, so the audience for it is not huge, but it does, there's a lot of stuff in this game that feels like it's perfect for the Stephen Totillos of the world. I'm sending you a message right now, Stephen, because I know
you're watching this. I know you are. Do something about
really dig into, because again, it's like, this is, you know, the most capital M mature story that I can recall in a good long while in a video game from Nintendo.
Right. First party Nintendo.
Seems like people might want to dig into that and ask some questions about how that came to be and what's going on over there. But very, very cool game. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out, so check it out.
I needed it desperately to just have a place to
closure.
I needed closure. I needed catharsis.
You needed a good cry.
I needed a good cry, honestly.
We had the tissues on the set. We
needed it.
I knew it was going to happen. You're like, I wasn't sure. I was like, the minute we hit the button, and I looked at you, I was like, oh, here we go. I better be ready. Yes. Also, out now. The Capcom office tour.
I did not cry during
Also,
that.
maybe getting us in the mood to go to Japan.
I know.
I was not around that day. You got to tour Capcom's headquarters in San Francisco. So cool.
It's so cool, and it's just so nice to get to go to Capcom all the time. We're so lucky to get to be, you know, partners with Capcom and get to do such cool things all the time. And they're so welcoming. Their office is probably one of the coolest gaming offices that I've ever seen. I mean, we were joking around because. Spoiler is that our old colleague and friend is now from Nintendo is now at Capcom. Him and I were joking around. We were like, gosh, if only the Nintendo office looked like the Capcom office, and we were just laughing because the Capcom office is so fun, so like just they have so much of their games and characters everywhere, and Nintendo was like a white box. So so we were both, you know, just laughing about that a little bit, but very cool office, super fun tour. I asked them the hard questions about Mega Man. Watch and find out what happens.
I appreciate you doing that on my behalf.
Maybe I'm banned for life. Who knows?
Well, I'm sure Joe would have been happy to say I'm pleased to announce that Mega Man returns in Funko Fantasies and Brawlhalla. Isn't that exactly what you wanted?
Brawlhalla,
yes.
There is Brawlhalla.
Every week there's a new Mega Man partner announcement, whether you want it or not.
a new Mega Man game.
This is what you've been asking for, right? Right?
Oh boy.
We nailed it, didn't we?
Your little heart can't take much more.
At this point, I've got
out.
very few expectations
You're checked
left.
out. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. They have really great stuff. Okay. Yeah, by the time this podcast comes out, we would be almost on the plane to Japan. We leave on Friday of this week.
Yep.
And we have a pretty packed
We really do.
itinerary. Like at first I was like, oh, we'll have a day or two. Then I looked at the schedule. I'm like, no, we have no days. We have to do like.
I mean, a day to do what?
Like we might have a day of like we don't have a thing planned to do like catch up on something that we may have wanted to see but didn't. But no, we do not have any leeway in the schedule. Like we are booked every single day. There is something important, significant that we're doing, and there is no like margin of error here. So we're going to be in Tokyo and in Kyoto, of course. We're going to be in Tokyo for TGS, which is going to be really fun. This is my first ever TGS.
Get ready.
You have been several times, but
it's
been a while. How many
years
has it been since you've been to TGS?
I think the last one I went to was 2008, so
that
was a long time ago. Well, I started Nintendo in 2009, and Nintendo does not do TGS, so I never had a reason to go. So that's a long time.
It's almost like new for you.
That's like 16 years.
Yeah, so I've never been. This has been on my...
You won't forget those crowds, let me tell you.
I've been warned by
We are going on the business day,
but still,
which will help.
I don't think it's going to help that much.
No, believe me, it will help.
Oh boy.
When you see, you may not see it because we're not going on the public day, but it is truly like as packed as human beings can be, standing in line
very hot in
for 8 hours to play a 5-minute demo.
It's like 90 degrees in Tokyo.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do it.
The illustrious Makuhari Messe, where it all happens.
Where it all happens. It's quite far from the city.
Right in downtown Tokyo, right?
No, it's like an hour and a half away. Outside the city. But yeah, this is my first one. I kind of have heard so many stories from obviously working in video games for so many years, like people's experiences at Tokyo Game Show, and like, yes, everyone talks about the crowds and the heat and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm just excited to see it because it's been on like my gaming industry bucket list for a long time, of something that I've always wanted to do and just see for myself. So I'm excited. We have some cool things that we're doing at the show, that we're seeing at the show, with some of these great partners that we've been hooked up with. We're going to see some devs. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a good time. I think we're going to get a lot of cool stuff to show you guys. We're going to do a Tokyo Game Show standalone vlog, kind of similar to our PAX vlogs, where we show you everything we get up to, who we meet, all of that stuff in our great Kit and Krysta vlog style. Yeah, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah, we've been figuring out how should we break this up, because on one hand you could do one vlog covering everything, but we're that's going to be really
3 hours.
That's going to be super long.
It's going to be like a feature film.
Let's break it up a little bit. So the first one that'll be out is the TGS vlog, because TGS will just be wrapping up, and a lot of that stuff will be very topical. And then we're going to do a vlog for each of the two big cities we're going to, Kyoto and Tokyo, and then we're going to do another standalone one on Super Nintendo World.
Yes.
Since we're going to be spending a whole day there. So that's the current plan.
Yeah.
May change a little bit if something unexpected happens, or we find something super cool that we want to, really blow out. But that's a plan, starting with TGS, and then we'll be kind of putting those out as we, and by we I mean you, get them done.
as I speed edit.
Yeah.
I have lots of time on trains to edit, don't worry.
But yeah, we're meeting up with all sorts of cool people. If you are a fan of a certain podcast about Japan games and Japanese games, if you know what that means, you may be hearing us on that, which is extremely exciting.
It's very exciting.
I think.
I'm a little fangirl for that podcast, so I can't believe we're going to be on, and it's going to be great.
Yes. And next week, we are going to be doing this podcast, the Kit and Krysta podcast from Japan. It's going to be a bit... Why do you say it like that?
I'm nervous about it.
What?
You sort of sprained this on me over the weekend. We had a different plan of sort of pre-recording a podcast. I was worried because, internet, when you're not...
They got the internet. Don't tell Nintendo, but Japan actually does have the internet.
I cannot upload a 2-hour podcast via fax machine, unfortunately, so... It's going to be It's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
I think it's going to be great.
You have high hopes.
It's going to be a different kind of an episode. We're going to change up some of the segments. It'll probably be a little bit shorter.
Yes.
Maybe not as many bells and whistles, but you can hear us, check in straight from Japan, hear about everything that's been happening, as it happens. So I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be really fun.
You don't need to worry about this. My goodness.
All right.
Yeah.
You can find me some internet.
I'll find you a fax machine.
You'll find me some sort of... Be a super potato finding me a fax machine to upload a podcast.
Yes.
Great.
So yes, so many things are happening, but let's dig into this here episode and our great story, which is about our trip to Japan. This was from March 2018.
Yeah.
This was your first trip to Japan with Nintendo, right?
It was.
Yes.
Yeah. My first trip to the storied headquarters in Japan.
Right. Okay. How many times had you been to Japan previous?
Twice before that.
You'd been twice before.
Yeah, and I had been to Kyoto before I went for work.
Right. So you're not seeing it for the first time.
No.
Gosh, I've kind of lost track of how many times. I'm in the double digits for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a really cool one.
Because you used to go for work and personal as well.
Yes, I used to go a couple times a year when I was at Konami and Bandai Namco. So that was a very cool perk of that. But, at Nintendo, we were a little bit slow to get going on some of these Japan trips. Like, I had gone over maybe once or twice. I remember I went once for a Pokemon thing, maybe once for something else.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, I think.
But then kind of later on in our time there, we started to have more opportunities to go.
Right.
In this case, we were going because they were having this thing that we've mentioned before called the Global PR Meeting.
Yeah.
Which happens a couple times a year, and they were sort of rotating the location of it.
Like it was like the Olympics, where like every country would host it.
Right.
And I think the year before you went to Europe because they hosted it there in Germany.
Yes, that was a little bit early. Europe was not as frequent a host as the others for whatever reason.
Yeah. The U.S. hosted it a bunch of times.
It was usually between Japan or NOA.
Right.
And I went to Frankfurt in I think that was like 2015 or so.
Yeah.
It was deep Wii U.
Deep Wii U era.
Wii U. I remember we were like planning for the first Splatoon game to come out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the plan for this one was we're going to have it at Nintendo headquarters in Kyoto. So everybody from NOA, everybody from Europe, even people from Australia, who we frankly don't get the chance to see them all that often, so that's really cool.
It's really fun to see people in person.
Yeah.
It was like once a year, or like, but beyond E3, you really don't get a chance to do a lot of like in-person stuff with the other global offices.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Yeah, so come together and, spend a couple days talking about some sort of bigger topics, things we're going to have to do in the sort of short term and long term coming up. So it's nice to just have a chance to get away from, the bustle of a normal workday and talk about that. So that was the reason that we were actually going.
Yeah,
but
I was there because I was the global lead for Smash, and there was going to be a lot of Smash Ultimate stuff there. And then, I ended up staying there for like a long time.
Yeah, so you and I were there, and the main group was there for...
that first week.
Yeah, for maybe like 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
And then we all left.
And I stayed.
And you stayed for how much longer?
For another week.
Another whole week?
It was almost like 4 or 5 days, yeah.
That's a long time.
I was there for like 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was a long time. After you guys left, I was a little lonely, to be real. I may have cried.
Oh boy.
Anyways.
Oh boy.
But I had to do something else that was really cool and interesting and a huge learning thing for me that we'll go into after we talk about the rest of the story. But yeah, I ended up staying there. I was like living in Japan for like 2 weeks.
That's a long time.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
It was a really long time.
But anyway, like we were both so excited, like, oh my gosh, we both get to go. What a cool opportunity.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to have each other around.
Yes.
And we were just, thinking about it, and we thought, it would be a real missed opportunity to not shoot our shot and see if there was something we could do for Nintendo Minute while we're there. I think we both realized, like, it's probably not going to happen, but I think we would feel bad if we did not even ask.
Yeah.
So
gotta ask people. Just a little bit.
Yeah, so we kind of put it out there, put out some feelers of like, well, if we put together a proposal of what we'd like to do, would you all at headquarters be open to looking at that and giving it, an honest shake? And they said, yeah, sure, go ahead. So we did, and we put together the proposal for like a very, basic tour of the headquarters building. And lo and behold, they came back and said, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, we were pretty careful. We knew that there were 99.9% of the spaces in headquarters, you cannot film, you can't show publicly ever at all. We were in those spaces, but they just do not allow filming in those areas. So we were pretty careful. We really kept that ask to we'll film things only in the public spaces, like outside, in the lobby, the cafeteria, and any of the areas that are clearly not where people were doing work, because that would be they would definitely say no to that.
Right.
But they were pretty I was pretty surprised because they were open to it and definitely wasn't a how dare you even ask us?
No, they actually seemed enthusiastic about it, which was a complete shock to us.
But then it was also this really nice feeling of we have really built something really special with Nintendo Minute. There's a reason why they let Mr. Miyamoto come onto Nintendo Minute. There's a reason why they're letting us shoot this video at Nintendo headquarters where basically no camera has ever gone before. It's because they trusted us, and they trusted in the content that we put on that show every week. They trusted in our ability to not show the roadmap development calendar to the next game. They really did trust us, and it was kind of a nice feeling to know that.
Yeah, it is remarkable how little is out there from inside those buildings. There's always those clips that come out from the 80s and 90s of oh, here's Mr. Miyamoto at his desk, and it's really cool when you see those because it's so rare.
Right.
But from the more recent days and even more recent decades, there's just so little.
You never
in an Iwata Ask, you would see a conference room
conference, or a Nintendo Direct where it's that wooden room.
You might see something, but you're not really seeing that much. So when the video came out, we definitely got comments of oh, this is stupid. You're in a lobby or in a cafeteria. Who cares? It's okay, fine, but what other footage have you seen of anybody in this building, period, in 20 years?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It was definitely very limited, but I still think it was really cool to give
people
so cool. as much of a glimpse as we possibly could.
Yeah, and I learned a thing or two. I did not know a tatami room existed in that original building. That was cool. I was this is neat.
Yeah, so where else did we get to go? We got to see the lobby.
Yes.
We got to go in that tatami room.
So there's
lobbies.
Two buildings. There is the original building that is pretty dated, pretty old, a bit older.
It's a bit older, yeah.
And then kitty corner away is the development headquarters, which they're rapidly outgrowing because they got to build another one now.
They're building more, yeah.
Yeah, because it's big. I mean, it's new and bigger, but they're also outgrowing it quickly.
I can't believe there was a time where they had
everybody
crammed
into
that
little
one
box.
building. Because now it's we have two very full buildings.
Very full.
And they've been hiring a lot, but even still, that must have been absolutely packed.
You're sardine canned in there with all your coworkers. The other building is the sort of the newer building, has
the development center.
The development center, and it has a very beautiful modern,
super
lobby,
modern,
very modern, So we got to see. We were in those buildings, inside them for work and stuff. But the things that we got to film were the lobbies of both the buildings. Kind of fun to compare and contrast those, honestly. We were in the cafeteria, which was fun. And people complain, they're the cafeteria food isn't very good. I'm the cafeteria food is so good. Are you kidding me?
No, it's really good.
Yeah. Are you joking right now? Do you know that I had to eat a sandwich?
Somebody ate a rotten salad out of a vending machine in our old office. So.
Someone had 2 pieces of cheese and a piece of meat that was called a sandwich in our office. So don't complain about your Japanese curry, people.
No.
But yes, we got to film that. That was fun. And eat something, which was also fun. And then we got to film in this little tatami room.
Right.
That was there's nothing in that room. It was just a tatami room. I don't know why it existed, but it had a nice painting and this like cute pot.
Like a traditional Japanese room.
It was like a tatami room.
And I think we also got to film around some of the grounds, which were also like really nice to just go and check out.
Really
but
pretty.
Yeah, the two buildings are about 5-10 minute walk apart from each other.
Yes.
It's so funny because they're like, oh,
so dangerous
this used to be a rougher part of town. Like, definitely be careful when you're walking around. It's like, we're from America.
Do you know that people get stabbed on my street?
It's okay.
Like,
I think we're going to be okay.
You don't even have guns here. Like, it's going to be fine.
Thanks for looking out, but I think we're going to be all right.
It's like some like nice old man with his little cart of vegetables. I'm like, oh yeah, so rough. But yes, so we got to show a little bit of what it's like, but what is it really like on the inside? Because we were actually inside.
It is as people say. Like, it is very sterile, very boring, honestly. In both buildings, it's like a lot of very just like quiet, empty hallways with no noticeable decoration or anything.
Yeah.
And there's just these, different rooms with different things happening. You'd open a door and there can be hustle and bustle inside. But like if you're walking down that hallway, it's almost like a hallway of your dream where you're like, well, what? It's
very surreal.
I'm in a liminal space, and I don't know where I am or what is happening around me, but I'm in this hallway.
Yeah,
and it feels a lot like that.
It's weird because you ride the elevator to different floors, and you would the door would like open to the next floor, and you're like, wait, am I on the same floor? Did I actually go up? Where am I?
Yeah.
Or like if you go to the bathroom, you really have to pay attention.
You can get lost.
I got lost so many times in there.
Totally.
And someone had to show me the way back.
Right.
Because I would be like, I would come out of the bathroom and be like, wait, which was I left or right? They all look the same. It really does feel a little bit surreal in that way because there's no like other landmarks. There's no other offices like, oh, I'll go towards the Mega Man statue.
Yeah.
That's where I came from. There is no like Mario pointing that way.
And the development building is exactly the same. It's just a much more kind of futuristic feeling hallway versus kind of a more like 1980s styled hallway. Yeah. It's exactly the same.
It's true. Yeah. They have some cute little thing. They had like some posters up in the little vending machine area. For like
around
concerts.
in some of the like common areas, like when you're coming in the building, like they will have some things. It's like, oh, all employees look at this, or there's this event that's happening, or something or other. But once you get up to whatever floor you're on, like there's nothing. There's nothing. But then you go inside. Like we would often go in this room that had like all the marketing people in it, and there's so many people in there working really hard.
Yeah.
A big difference from like an American office is like
there's no offices.
There are no like close the door offices. Everybody's just at like a long table. Like this.
So it's like the way that they set it up, and I'm sure you've seen this in the movies for Japanese like depicting like Japanese.
What
offices.
movie?
I don't know. Like any movie has this. You've definitely seen some movie that has like this structure.
Okay.
Where it's like the manager sits at the end of like the head of the room basically.
Right. Like looking down.
And then looking down is like 2 rows of tables. Like he's looking down this way. And that is his department. And so you can kind of like see all the people working, and then they can also see the manager, and then you can like go and ask the manager questions, or like you might be they might be watching.
The manager can give you a dirty look.
And point.
What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
Answer that phone call. Write that email. The managers were nice, but that's how mainly those like business offices were structured.
I think they must be really surprised when they come to like America, and it's just like so many people have these offices. Yeah. I'm sure they have a lot of feelings of like, either this is stifling, the conversations that we have, just like the instantaneous kind of things that keep the work going on, but also like, who are these people that have these offices?
Who do you think they are?
They don't deserve it. Krysta Yang has an office. Are you joking me? What a joke this is.
I did have an office.
Are you kidding me?
Cute too.
That should be my office.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I honestly feel like their way is better. And like a lot of offices now, like a lot of tech offices.
Yeah, a lot of those are more like that.
They don't have like offices. And if you need to take a call, like there's little like phone rooms. I honestly do feel like that's better. As much as I liked decorating my office with an Animal Crossing wallpaper, like it's not good to be separated like that. Because it's like, sometimes you close your door and you forget to get up and open it after you take a call, and it's like people.
Yeah, then nobody wants to come in
because
like, she's busy, or she's mad, or she's
mad.
She's fuming in there.
I'm not.
Don't go in there. It's not a katifer.
I'm not fuming.
I would hear that. I would hear that a lot in the hallway. I would hear that a lot.
You're the worst one.
What?
Your door was always closed.
Because I'm always in an important meeting.
No, you weren't.
I was.
You were like playing video games.
No, I was not.
You were playing like.
Give me a break, please.
So yeah, they don't have that. Nobody has that. Like not even like. Well, there's one person that has it. That's a little different. Well, I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, like all of them are sort of in these big rooms, and it would be like this room that said like department blah blah, and it was like these are all the marketing people.
Yeah.
And like advertising,
right.
PR.
But they're all in the same kind of big area, which is good for the collaboration and all that. We have seen the development areas. It's not like we never seen those.
Yeah.
And I mean, frankly, they look exactly like they did back then.
Right.
So it's like you can just transpose like, okay, 30 years from now, it's like, okay, the computer's different, but like the desks
everything's the same.
And the style of work, it seems exactly the same.
It seems exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're working more like digitally now.
Yeah, I'm sure they have different tools, but just like the style and the setting of where they're working did not seem to be any different to me.
There were some cute little, like we say a lot about it being quite, sterile and white, There were some like little cutesy things that I liked, especially in the newer building. So like they have this thing, it's almost like a school bell where
it would tell you it's lunchtime.
It will tell you that it's time to start the day. So it dings at 8, I think, and it dings at lunch. It dings when lunch is over. You get an hour. And it dings at 5, even though you're not really going home at 5. So the dings, though...
Well, they can get overtime. So
yeah, they can get
some people are going home.
But some people are not.
Okay.
But the little ringy things were like Mario songs.
It's like Mario or Zelda, little chimes.
Zelda chimes. Yeah, I think the lunchtime one was like the underwater theme or something. But it tells you like when to, and people did listen to the dings.
When it's time to eat, it's time to eat.
People would stop. Like that's a big difference from the U.S. office, I would say.
I mean, frankly,
we never went to lunch.
Frankly, I would love somebody to say, "Stop what you're doing and eat lunch."
Eat lunch.
Stop it.
Because we were just not eating lunch.
We were not allowed.
Or we would eat at our desks.
Or somebody would schedule a meeting.
Someone would.
Oh, you don't need to eat.
You're not human.
Or it was some like disgusting lunch meeting where everybody's like scarfing a tuna sandwich, like wiping their filthy hands all over the table. That
was like your biggest pet. You did not.
It would smell
like
bad
mayonnaise.
In there.
Yeah.
And I would never do. I would just sit there and I was like, I'm just not gonna starve.
I'm gonna starve.
Versus
eat this
debase myself by eating in this
sandwich.
meeting.
Yeah, it's an awkward situation to eat in the meeting like that, and then you're.
It's a working lunch, Krista.
And
we have to be productive.
Talk.
Let me tell you about the holiday bundle of Mario. Yeah, we're just spewing mayonnaise.
You just spew the tuna all over your coworkers. It's disgusting. But they didn't do that. They went to lunch. They went with the ding, the bell would ding. It would be like Zelda, whatever, and then you would go. It would be like the fairy fountain song, and then you would go. You would get up from your desk. Everybody would get up.
Yes.
Even Mr. Miyamoto would get up. And they would go to the cafeteria and have lunch. Because we went to the cafeteria when it dinged, and there was Mr. Miyamoto.
We've been to both cafeterias.
Yeah.
Both very good. Again, the one in the older building is a little bit older.
It's fine. It's delicious.
The one in the new building is really nice.
Nice, yeah.
They have so many choices of things that you can get.
Yes.
You do have to pay for it, but it's very cheap. I think it's like
Apple.
subsidized.
Apple
in some
subsidizes
way.
their cafeteria too.
How would I know that?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, like you would just see people like, sitting at a table, like, yucking it up with their chums, like, which is really cool thing.
Cool. It did feel a little high school though, I would say, because you can see the cliques of people. Like
You would have loved this.
I would have hated this because I was a nerd and a dork, and no one wanted to sit with me. So
I don't know about that.
But yeah, it was very much like, Mr. Miyamoto and his friends were like at a table, and then like other people,
Well, if you want to belly up in between Mr. Miyamoto and Mr. Tezuka, be my guest.
Oh,
if that's what you want to do, then go ahead.
No, I'm just saying like it's cute though. Like it's not like a Mean Girls, but it's like it very much is like a high school cafeteria.
We should say in that area, there's really no options if you need to go to lunch, if you want to leave.
There's like 2 options.
There's like a convenience store.
And there's that one restaurant.
And there's one like yakiniku place, right?
No, there's also another restaurant now there.
Okay.
That is like a little like lunch izakaya bento kind of place.
Like a pretty simple,
very simple
traditional
like
food.
a family restaurant.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of it. Which I'm really surprised at. You think somebody would be like, "Oh, this is a big opportunity. Like this huge company is right here,
Yeah.
to handle the lunch rush
But they have the cafeteria
of people who need to get out and get some fresh air."
The convenience store is okay too.
Oh, that's like the most profitable convenience store in Japan, probably. Yeah, people are just going in and out of it.
There's a train station down the street too, so that people walk by from the train station, grab that stuff, and then.
And if you don't know about Japanese convenience stores, like they are like
amazing.
This miraculous, incredible thing that like.
Yeah,
convenience store like in America is like someplace you don't really want to go unless you need to.
But a Japanese convenience store has like fresh made food.
We're going to be going daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah, I must.
Great.
I must.
Deal.
Daily.
I need pudding.
I need snacks and everything else.
Pudding though.
So they do have like those cute things. They do have things that are really different than U.S. work culture. They have uniforms, for example, is another thing that's really interesting. Like they have those blue jackets.
Right, they have the jackets.
Yeah.
And there are different jackets based on your department.
Yeah.
I famously suggested in NOA that we should adopt those jackets because they were asking people like, what can we do to foster a better sense of community amongst our employees? And I said, well, they've got this figured out in Japan. They've got these jackets, and it's like so cool that you have these jackets, and it shows like, we're working on the same team, we're one and the same, and everybody's like
a military uniform.
Great idea, dummy. That's
they hated
stupid.
That idea.
Yeah, that got shot down so fast.
You know that if they made us wear jackets, it's gonna be mesh, and I'm not gonna wear it.
Come on.
I won't be wearing a mesh jacket. I'm telling you right now. Some crappy.
Maybe I would.
Like dry wick.
I was really stunned at how immediately that got shot down.
People did not like that.
People
idea.
hated that idea.
They really gave you a dirty look. They did not like that idea at all.
I want a jacket.
Jackets were nice. Yeah. Those are not mesh. They were like nice jackets.
Yeah,
but people would like actually wear the uniform. It's like it's like a school. Where like, I asked them, I'm like, is it weird that you have to wear this? Or like, do you wish you could wear something else? They're like, no, you don't have to, but we all like it. I'm like, okay, cool.
But it is on the whole a more formal style of dress that you have to wear. It's not like...
You can't wear shorts.
Most people are not in like a full suit, but it is, business attire.
Casual.
Right.
Yeah, business casual.
Yeah.
Like you definitely couldn't wear that to the office.
This Legend of Zelda shirt, no. I'd be sent home for wearing ironically, I'd be sent home for wearing this.
You definitely would not be able to wear that at the office. Like we would always have to dress up like a lot more.
Oh man,
when we went to Japan, like I packed like all like the business clothes. I'm like, what kind of stuff is like? This is a lot of dressy up clothes.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Anyhow, this trip. So the people who were reviewing this proposal and were going to like be with us, for the majority of this trip, like they were very enthusiastic, and even some of them did some brainstorming about things that they thought might be cool for us to do in the video. One piece of guidance that we got though was like, we know that you are going to be excited to show like Japanese food of your trip to Japan, but please, you cannot show any restaurants outside of the cafeteria because we cannot vouch for them having the standard of Japanese food that we need the world to perceive.
That's true. We need to get that.
So please do not.
Can you know how we show a lot of food in our vlogs?
Yes.
Now we do.
They knew that about us.
They knew that about us.
We like to eat.
But yeah, they would like not let us. They were like, no, you can only show the food in the cafeteria. You can't show the food in any other restaurant.
That was fine.
Because that was their reasoning. And I was like, that's an interesting reasoning, but I kind of get it, so okay.
That's fine. We'll focus on the cafeteria. They had another real interesting idea, which was, hey, something that's popular with tourists is there are shops where you can rent like traditional clothes.
Like kimonos.
So you can get in a kimono and I can get in, the guy's equivalent.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go tour Japan in these get-ups. And we had to find a very polite way
to decline
this.
It's a little awkward.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, that was strange. I could see the good.
You do see those shops all over though.
I do see the good intentions of wanting to give us like a very, like the kind of that tourist experience.
Yeah, right.
But that's very cringy. to have a woman of Asian descent dressed in a kimono and
how about me?
Gallivant around Japan.
How about me?
With you.
All right. I mean, we could have gone to the global PR meeting in a kimono. That could have been great.
How do you think they would react to that?
I don't know.
Is that cultural appropriation, though? I don't know. I feel like
this is why we politely decline.
We politely decline because it's like a lot of landmines around that. It's like that's a little tough, right?
Yeah. They didn't take it hard though.
They didn't take it hard.
No. So yeah, and again, we got to film that stuff. Like they were super helpful. I remember like we were playing like Mario Odyssey in the tatami room.
We were.
There were some interesting scenes.
We played ARMS.
Oh, we played ARMS
in the cafeteria because we were eating ramen
in the min level, which looked like a ramen.
The bowl looked exactly like the bowl in the cafeteria.
Right. So we found some fun ways to kind of
really fun.
Juice up some of these locations. And also, those lobbies are very interesting.
They have a lot of like little
the people,
plaques.
They have what are they called like. Cloisonne, like what is the style of those art pieces that are all around there?
Oh.
What is that?
I don't know what it's called.
But there's like a very distinct style of like print that's all around that kind of looks like a big Hanafuda card in some ways.
Yeah. It has like they're all like related in some way.
Right.
They're supposed to be like a series.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it's like this giant lobby, and then there's just like this small desk with these like couple people behind the desk, and they'll like stand up and bow when you walk in.
Yeah.
And again, there's nobody else there.
It's empty.
It's like there's thousands of people that work at this company. Where are all of them?
Where are they? How did they get in?
Yeah.
And it's always like very like echoey in there
Super
because it's
loud.
all like marble, right?
So you're trying to whisper.
So you're whispering.
I'm here on official business.
And you're like, but you're walking, and you know, I was wearing heels, and so there was click, click.
You gotta
click,
walk
click,
for like
click,
30
click,
seconds
click,
in this
click,
silent
click,
room
click, click,
to
click,
these
click,
poor
click,
ladies
click,
behind the desk.
clicking towards them. You know how like in Devil Wears Prada they call them the clackers because they have their heels on the marble lobby floor. I felt like a clacker. I was like, can I army crawl over to them because this is so loud and so awkward.
And they're just waiting for you.
They're smiling, waiting.
They're waiting to tell you to turn around and leave.
See you, Miss N. GTFO.
And even before you get in there, like, there's a pretty like hardcore like security check because they have people showing up all the time.
Oh, they do.
You know, like we're gonna go. We're gonna go see it. We're not gonna try and get in. Obviously,
no, that's weird.
But there's like people stationed at the gates whose job is to tell people to go away, and if you say you have a meeting, like they're checking extensively. Like, is your name on the list? You have there's all these things that they need to confirm.
They do confirm
before they're gonna let you in. So even like getting through the gate is like a major process.
Yeah, you get to the gate in a taxi. You have to tell the taxi driver like beforehand, give them the business card beforehand, so they can like talk to the guy.
So this famously happened to me on a previous trip that I went on vacation. I went to Kyoto when I was still I had started working at Nintendo. I had a Nintendo business card on me, and I told the taxi driver, I was like, could you just drive me by the building? I'd like to see it. This is before I had done any official business trips, and he wouldn't do it. Because I think he's sick of all these, looky-loos would be like, oh, yeah, I'm a Nintendo fan. Can you take me? I think he was sick of it.
He doesn't want to do it.
He was like, oh, that's something you can do by yourself later. And he's like, no, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think they like it.
I think they're in cahoots.
Well, they probably don't want people just like milling around that building. That's weird,
Right,
you know?
Right.
Yeah, but, if you do have a meeting, you have to prove to them who you are. You can't just be some like whatever off the street. Yeah. So they're pretty strict about all of that. But yeah. Inside the building, it is very interesting. It's more interesting for me to just see like how they work every day.
Yeah.
Versus like what the building look like. I really like learning about like just their work culture because it's so different than ours, and it's a good to know that. It's good to understand that because that makes you have a different, hopefully better working relationship because you're like, okay, this is not how you guys do stuff, and this is how you do it, and I understand that now. So it was very helpful going there and seeing that.
It's a great point because we talked about how during the pandemic, like it felt like the amount of butting of heads on ideas was getting higher and higher, and I do think a lot of that's because like these sorts of trips stopped happening.
Yeah.
These because again, it's like yes, you go to do business, but there is kind of like a softer purpose of like getting to know the perspective of the person on the other side a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that was happening constantly. Not just with us, but just with people within the company.
Right.
We're always coming and going globally all around.
Yeah.
And it just felt like for those couple years, this was like, we're just going to kind of, all of us are just kind of going to recede back into what we know
we
and
were
what,
all
and what
struggling too. Like, I think all of us were struggling on like a personal level, and then you add like the work part of it and also the part of being like extremely like siloed off. Like that's not a good combination at all. Like that's just bad all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember like even on that trip to Japan, because I had just started working on Smash during that trip, like there was these cool moments where the team working on Smash would just like see me like outside of, getting out of a meeting, or we were in a meeting together, like, oh, do you have a quick second to like, let's just hash out this like quick thing on Smash. Yeah. And we would just be able to do that in like 15 minutes. And it was awesome because it's like, oh, this is the beauty of being in the same place. Like that 15-minute conversation would have been like a 3-day email exchange with translation, and things could have been lost in translation. The context could have been lost because you're writing an email and not face-to-face with somebody. Like, it was just like such an eye-opening thing to see that, especially when working with people in another country that speak a different language, So it's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So there was some other cool stuff that happened that was not in the video while we were there. I had a birthday. Congratulations to me.
You did have a birthday during that trip.
And it was an interesting one because we had... He was like, well, you were very nice. You're like, oh, it's your birthday. What do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I don't know. But we ended up befriending one of the developers who's not Japanese. And he was like, oh, yeah, we should go out and, I can find a cool place and, we can go have dinner. I was like, well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We'd love to do that. But then the hopes were dashed by the forced group meal on my birthday.
There was a forced group meal, and I really tried to like intervene and say like, maybe we can do drinks with the group or something else, and then still go to the dinner that you wanted to go to on your birthday, that we had originally planned, and then it just didn't, like, I could not convince them to let us do that. We like had to go to
this was a real like last minute thing too. I think it was like that afternoon, and we were like, okay, I think we're probably in the clear to go do our thing and hang out with this cool game developer. And then it was like 4 o'clock. It was like, all right, meet here. We're gonna go do, the group's gonna go have dinner.
Yeah. And then I tried again. I was like, okay, well, where are we having dinner? Because like it's his birthdays, and I think he wants to have like this one thing.
What did I want? I can't even remember.
I think he wanted soba that day.
Okay.
And also, on your birthday, it is traditional to eat noodles for long life.
This must have been your idea then.
Okay, maybe
You're always going on and on about the noodles.
I do like noodles. So we were like, that's where we were gonna go with the fun game developer guy. Like he was gonna.
He had a great
cool
soba place. Great.
Yeah, soba
Sounds
place.
Delicious.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, where are we going? And they picked the one thing that you truly do not eat. You don't really like this dish, and it's a mayo risk.
It's not my favorite. It's okonomiyaki.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, it's kind of like a savory pancake.
Yeah.
That has the same kind of sauce that goes on yakisoba noodles.
Yeah, it's like a sweet soy sauce.
I think the thing I don't really love about it is that sauce.
Yeah.
It's very like strong, but also pretty sweet. And for some reason, I'm like, this is not my favorite kind of thing.
They usually douse it with mayonnaise.
True.
As well, and you are also cooking it on like a shared teppanyaki thing. So they choose this place, and I'm like, guys, like this is really.
People were out to get me.
I'm like, he doesn't eat mayonnaise, and he doesn't really like okonomiyaki.
So who cares? Let's go eat it.
Is there a different option? They're like, no. I was like, okay. I tried, and then I think there was. We did get you like a cute like birthday cake or some sort of.
I did get mine without mayonnaise, to be clear.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
You did get. You were like in the little corner of the thing. And
they were able to
mayo free. There was a danger moment where the mayo was like
seeping over,
and it's like put the little paddle, the little spatula down to stop it. Yeah, it was not the ideal birthday dinner. I felt kind of bad for you, honestly, because it was not like the best way to spend your birthday. There was some like truly embarrassing moments that happened during that meal as well. People were very ill-behaved. I will not call them out and will not say what they did.
But we were the ugly Americans.
So we were the ugly Americans. And I was a little bit embarrassed, honestly. Like, there were some moments where I was like, I need to crawl under a rock because this is really embarrassing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't really enjoy that, honestly. I didn't enjoy that.
One of the wait staff had some, like, alcoholic beverage spilled on her, I think, at one point.
Yes.
In a really,
like, embarrassing
way.
and, like, demeaning way.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad. I was like, this is not cool, you know? Yeah, so it wasn't the best birthday. I feel like we got something else to eat, like, the next day that was better.
Yeah, I mean, the restaurant, whatever, like, as long as I got it without the mail, that was fine. I wanted to hang out with that developer, and we never got the chance to in the end, so that's kind of the bummer that came of that.
I know, that's too bad, yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of a bummer of a birthday. But the rest of the trip was pretty cool because it was also during cherry blossom season.
So again, we were there in late March, which is when my birthday is, and that's kind of right around. I think it depends on like how warm it is going from winter into spring when exactly they bloom. But we were there like right at the peak of it.
It was beautiful.
I knew it was going to be like that, but I was kind of like, I've seen a cherry blossom, big deal. But this was absolutely incredible.
It was like, I can't even describe it. It was like...
If you have a chance to go to Japan during cherry blossoms...
Just try.
You have to do it.
But also be aware that it's going to be like mountains of people just absolutely also doing the same thing you're doing, but it's so worth it. It is the most like magical thing I've ever seen, like ever. And like it is one of those things where... You really don't realize until you're in it, like how beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like breathtakingly
it's really
beautiful.
True.
And it just like, we spent so much time just walking around parks and looking at the blossoms. It's really cool to see them at night too, because they have these lights set up that like intentionally like light the trees up, and it just has this really cool
it's like a big deal. It's a big deal there, even like for the locals, which is cool. It's you know, there's always like a big thing of like, who can get the best picnic spot close to the cherry blossom tree, and people go out and they really enjoy it. The other thing that I learned, mountains and mountains of pollen.
Oh, you had a bad allergy.
I had. I don't usually get allergies from like in the spring, but I got hit hard.
Yeah,
and at first
you
I was
lost
like,
your voice.
I was like, did I get really sick or like what? And I was like, no, I think this is allergies.
And you felt fine otherwise, but you
I
just lost your voice.
I felt completely fine. I lost my voice. Like I had a really bad stuffy nose, and it was just like it was kind of embarrassing, honestly. Because I had to like go in this meeting and like talk, and it was like,
and you were like croaky.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. You're like, I'm sorry, I have allergies.
No, but they're like, oh, a lot of people get this.
I guess it's like very common.
Don't worry about it. So.
Yeah. But it was so beautiful, and it was interesting because when we got there, it was like the just about the height of it. Like it just started to get the blooms were really full and open. By the time I left Japan...
A week later than me.
10 days later. They were gone.
It was over.
And I stood in this... I remember I stood on the side of the river and I watched those petals just like that day before I left, just like fall.
It was like Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm in an anime.
So many particle effects.
I mean, it was like... This is what they mean when they write those poems about the fleeting, nature of life and the fleeting moments. Like, this is what they're talking about. I had like an existential moment.
You really were bummed out when you were there by yourself.
It was just like one of those amazing things where like, this is happening. Like, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing to see just that full cycle of the full bloom of the flowers to like the moment that they're so delicate, they like just kind of rain down like snowflakes, and it's like, oh, the moment's passed, you know? Oh, so incredible. Really incredible.
Yeah. We also had a fun night out with one of our contacts. It was the same person who was like reviewing our proposal. He wanted to take our group out to like, I think he had like a cool sake bar in mind, and we all met up at the hotel, and he's like, this is going to be awesome, this is my favorite place, I'm so psyched, and we walked like 10 minutes, boom, the place is closed. And he just kind of stood there looking
so bad for him.
At the sign for like a minute, and then one of the other people took his side, like, it's going to take him a while to recover from this. And it kind of did, like he was really like stunned. oh, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
and then
he was like looking into the little, peering into the window.
Yep, it's
like,
closed.
Are you sure they're closed?
Yeah.
Oh no.
But then we kind of got him to buck up, and he was like, I know another place. And then we walked a long time. We walked like 45 minutes to some ramen place.
We did. We walked a really long time, though.
And then he took us to some other sake bar where I remember he got in a big argument with you about beauty products for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
This is an older Japanese man. I don't know why he's arguing with you about
we were all
foundation
sitting,
whatever.
We had the nice ramen, and then we were like, let's go to another place. And have a little bit more sake. And we were like, okay, great. So we went to this little sake bar and we were just like chatting. And then he got into a big fight with me about how to use serums. I was like, I think I know how to use. He's like, no,
serums.
You're using it wrong. I'm like, I'm not using
serum
it wrong.
Wars. Forget the console wars. We got the serum wars.
Serum wars.
What is like, serum?
I don't know. I'm not going to describe it to you right now. Okay, it's gonna take a long time.
Well, I'd like to argue with you about serum, so maybe you can tell me later.
I'll tell you in Japan.
All right.
But I was like, why are you arguing with me about this? This is ridiculous. But it was really funny.
That can be my most stinging insult. You know nothing about serum.
I know.
You are not qualified to speak on serum.
Oh no.
You're just not.
It's not true.
Sorry.
I'm very versed in my serumology.
I learned about serum yesterday, but let me tell you something.
Serumology.
You don't know squat about serum. So that ended up being another good night. Another night that was not so great.
Oh no.
There was a place that they would often take. So some of these dinners and some of these outings were like NOA only.
Yeah.
But they would always plan one that was everybody.
A big group.
A big group. There was maybe like 30 people. And it was always at the same place. And I think it was the same person who planned that outing who at the closed sake bar. I think he knew the guy.
Owner.
He's like, I went to school with this owner.
Yeah.
We always come here. And it was like a 2-story place. And it was, again, like a traditional kind of izakaya kind of place.
Yeah.
And it looked great, on the bottom floor. But then you would basically have to climb a ladder.
Yeah, to the attic.
To get into the attic where we were. And it was like kind of a different vibe, a little bit less vibrant. It was just like a big tatami room with some very small tables.
Yeah, but it was literally the attic of this building.
Right. And it was like, well, okay, this will be fine. Like the food looks good. Like people downstairs, seem like they're having a great time. But the problem was like there was very little food and a lot of alcohol that they were bringing out. Like they were bringing out like buckets and buckets.
No, they were like, Magnum. It was like
magnums of sake.
That size of sake, like bottles, like.
But it wasn't like they just kept bringing it, like beer, shochu. What do you want? We're gonna bring it out by the bucket.
And it was like crazy. It was kind of a crazy amount of drinks, and you had learned this.
Well, I had been to one of these on the previous trip.
And you warned me.
So I knew how this was gonna go.
You said you're gonna be shocked.
The ratios are out of whack.
How little, but it would literally be like 4 magnums of sake, 1 yakitori stick.
Yeah, it's like, well, here's one small plate with like 5 yakitori sticks for like 30 people. Like, well, I will do the honorific thing and let my superior eat, and I guess I'll have another glass of sake as I hurtle towards oblivion tonight.
So, like, the trick, though, the trick is to eat beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Go to the 7-Eleven.
So we went to, it was like literally the schedule was so tight. It was like 4 o'clock the meetings ended. You get back to the hotel at 4:30. Got change for dinner.
And then you better start eating.
And you got to start eating. So I was like gorging on like.
Give me the fammy chicky. Give me all this.
I was building a base in my stomach
because there's not going to be food.
I had like many sandwiches, many like ramen bowls, whatever, like the instant ramen things.
Yeah.
And then you go to the dinner, and then you're good.
Because some people are not as prepared as we do, and they get a little wobbly, and then they got to go down that ladder at the end of the night.
That ladder. Okay, that ladder is so scary because you have to climb up the ladder. It's like not.
It's literally a ladder.
It's not stairs.
No.
It's a ladder.
What am I, a fireman here?
I got the heels on because I gotta get dressed up for these dinners. Then you have to take your shoes off, like before you get into the tatami room. So you're like standing in this tiny.
There's like a tiny little like.
It's like a
8-inch by 8-inch full square.
A little with 30 other people.
Yeah.
You have to take your shoes off, and you better hope and pray no one swings an arm out, and you're just down the ladder, down the hatch, because that's definitely possible. You've got to hold on with one hand, take your shoes off with the other hand, crawl towards the 2 chickens. But yeah, that was a very interesting dinner. Every single time. And then, Reggie's,
Reggie was there.
Everybody's at these dinners. It's like...
You could tell Reggie was also a veteran of these dinners.
Yeah, he
and
knew.
he would always proclaim, he's like, I have a hard time sitting, and I'm a big guy, I have a hard time just sitting on the floor for this long. Can somebody bring me some sort of a chair? And they obliged. They did bring him a chair. It just so happened to be a chair that was maybe 4 inches off of the ground. It was the world's smallest chair.
It was a chair for like a toddler. But Reggie is like a 6'3" to 5 man.
Taller than me by a good margin.
Yeah.
And he was holding court, sitting on this tiny child's chair on the tatami mat.
Tip him over a little bit. It really mocked you, that chair. It begged for you to tip. I didn't do it, obviously, but you just really wanted to tip it over.
Yes.
But yes, he was in this like teeny little chair. The tables are laid out in like a kind of a U shape. He was like at the head table, with all the important people.
Yeah. So I remember that maybe when we're Kyoto, we'll go there and I'll order like half an order of yakitori and maybe 5 magnums of sake for the two of us. We can reenact.
Can I 7-Eleven beforehand?
We can reenact those lost nights.
Oh my god.
But anyway, the fun trip for me came to an end. I had kind of a crazy way back because my flight got canceled.
It was like Asiana.
And we got rebooked on Asiana, and I was with my boss, and that was after that Asiana flight had that thing at SFO, our airport, and she was freaked out. And
she was really freaked out.
I was like, whatever, but she was like, we're not going to make it. It was fine.
Yeah,
obviously.
You guys had to leave one day later, I believe. Was it
no,
one day later?
we had to reroute, and we connected a number of different ways through like Korea. We didn't lose any time.
You didn't lose time. Okay.
And we left you for another week to do whatever you were going to do.
Yeah, so I was there, but I was with a lovely, the translator from the Treehouse team, and that person obviously was with me, and
yes.
we were hanging out, so that was fine. But I had to stay because I was doing the big interview with Mr. Kimishima, who was the president at the time. And
we've talked about this in our
yes.
episode. What was like the worst?
The worst mistake we ever made.
Worst moment we ever had. Worst mistake we ever made.
Yeah. This trip
hear more about it there.
Started out okay, ended up being not great. But the beginning of this trip was me in Japan,
yes.
actually like hosting this person from Bloomberg to do this big like cover story about Nintendo.
This person was from America as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was a really cool experience, like to be able to do something like this. This person was from America. He had with him a photographer that was local in Kyoto and worked for like the Bloomberg Japan, side. So there was another Japanese person, and then of course myself and the translator from Treehouse localization was there. And that the part, it was supposed to be pretty straightforward. This person was coming to Japan. We would give them like sort of a small tour of the office. They would sit down with Mr. Kimishima to do the interview. But it ended up being like this huge thing because I guess like nobody has gone up to that 7th floor of the Nintendo Japan headquarters. Like, the 7th floor in that original building is the president's floor. Like Mr. Iwata's office was up there, all of
the president's office.
It was like all of the presidents, their offices were all up there.
That whole floor.
That entire floor. And I guess it was like no one's been up there. We've never let anybody up there, like really to do these meetings. Like this is like a big deal. And I was like, what? Like I didn't realize this was a big deal. There was this conversation that we all needed to buy pantyhose. They were like, it's very formal up there. Do you have the proper clothes to be up there? You need to get like stockings and stuff. Like I was like, are you serious right now? Like we need to go buy pantyhose to be in the president's office? Okay. I think I was prepared with like a very modest outfit, so it was fine. But did
Mr. Kimishima have the pantyhose?
I hope so.
Everybody had to have it, apparently.
So the day before the media person gets there, we do go up to the president's office to like check it out and make sure we have like a spot that we can do the meeting in, because there's like a conference room and stuff up there. And that 7th floor is very interesting and different. Like they have their own private elevator that goes up there. They have their own private like lobby up there with like a receptionist, and then there's like the people that are the executive assistants to the president. They have their little office, so like you go up there. The whole place is so unlike the lobby that's completely marble. This place was entirely covered in this like super thick carpet. So you hear no footsteps.
Plush.
You hear nothing up there. It's like ninja, you know? It's like dead silent up there. So you go up there and like you check in with the front desk, and then they like pass you off to the assistant, and then they like shuffle you around to all these areas. We did end up finding like a room to do this where it was like this like nice conference room with these club chairs and like, you know, very classy and stuff like that.
Is this floor generally the same size as the other floors?
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay, wow.
There's a lot of empty rooms. Like in the actual office of the president, there's like these few adjacent rooms that just didn't seem like there was anything in it. Like there was like an empty desk. Like, sometimes someone would like work up here. Like, who would want to do that? This is a terrible idea. I mean, it's just like, it feels so like austere up there, you know? But the one funny thing that I loved that I saw that made me feel better about the whole thing, because I was just so formal and I was so nervous, and like I was like, don't make a mistake, don't make a fool of yourself. Like you have to be very like proper up here. And the one thing that I saw was this like cabinet, and it was just stuffed full of every amiibo ever made. And I was like, oh, okay, it's still video
in the
games.
box? Mint in box?
Not in box. Unboxed. So somebody had been unboxing amiibo up on that 7th
Somebody's
floor.
job, yeah.
And like putting it into this little cabinet.
All of them, though.
All of them. It was like a huge thing. But it was like really funny because I was like, everything in here is so formal. It's so almost like stuffy, you know? Like it didn't feel like video games. It felt like the bank or like the government, like something boring. And instead, like, you know, there was this one little glimmer of fun, which was this cabinet full of amiibo in this office. So,
did you check out the bathrooms? Executive washrooms?
I did not go to. I don't think I was.
Darn
allowed.
it!
I don't think they were gonna let me.
I'm so disappointed.
They're like, you need to go.
What
back.
if you like? I need to go.
Go downstairs.
You should have tried.
Go downstairs.
I would have tried.
So then this media person like comes in for the interview. We did like this photo shoot in the lobby. They had that big like wall that's like super bright with all these like lights in the back.
Also on that same floor.
No, it's in the lobby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we did like a whole photo shoot with them. And then we go upstairs to the president's office to do the interview. And it was like, oh my God, they have the tea. They did like tea service.
Oh, yeah.
And it, you know, I was like sitting off to the side, like staffing it, and they were kind of like in the front, in the corner doing the interview. And it was just like, wow, this is very different than like an E3 interview with some like with like Andre or something like that. Like no offense to Andre, but I was like, this is a different point in the career. Like this feels different. This is weird. This is different. I don't know. The interview went great, and it was awesome to like kind of see it all go down that night. The four of us, me, the Bloomberg media person, the photographer who is local to Kyoto, and the translator, we all went out to dinner because we were like, oh, let's celebrate. That was so fun. And it was my first time eating raw chicken.
Oh.
In Japan.
Whose idea was that?
The guy from Kyoto. Maybe he was trolling us.
I won't be doing that.
It was actually pretty good.
I need to make it through this trip.
It was actually nothing happened to me. I was not like sick.
I think something would happen to me.
I was totally fine, and I thought it was actually quite good. But that was my first time. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try this. Like, this is interesting. But yeah, like we had actually ended up like having a good time afterwards together. And then the story continues. You can listen to the other podcast where it kind of spirals into like a bad thing.
How it became the worst moment of your career.
How it became like the worst. It went from being like a weird moment in my career to like the worst moment in my career. But that whole thing, it doesn't feel. It feels so surreal. It feels like a dream. Like
It seems lonely.
It's very lonely.
It's like how many people total do you think are like working regularly on that floor?
Nobody.
Him, a couple assistants, somebody working a front desk, like 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe you have a meeting up there.
It seems very lonely.
I wouldn't want that job.
Yeah.
It's very lonely up there. That's my takeaway, that it was very like, it felt like stifling almost. Like you can't, what if you just wanted to laugh? You know? I don't feel like you can laugh up there.
He can laugh as much as he wants. He's the boss.
But do you want to laugh?
Just let one of those out.
An evil laugh?
I'm on top of the world!
You think that's what Mr. Furukawa's doing up there?
Yeah, totally.
It's probably
He's
fun.
rolling, the Tomodachi life, rolling around on that plush carpet.
The carpet is very fun. You could take a nap in that carpet.
You gotta take advantage while you can. YOLO. You gotta YOLO, man.
Okay, I hope he is YOLOing, because I felt stifled. I felt like this was like not a fun place. Not a fun place. I want him to have fun and be happy. So I hope he's rolling around on the floor and drinking tea and laughing and spinning around in that chair and counting those amiibo in the cabinet. I really hope he is.
He's like, I'm gonna take you out, Waluigi or Wario. There is no Waluigi amiibo. Wait, there is.
Wait, there is.
There is. Yes.
We looked at the butts.
I got confused for a second. There it is.
At
Anyway, he's doing action figure fights with amiibo.
I hope so. Yeah. I really hope so. But the top floor of that building, the president's office, was a real experience, let me tell you. Wow.
Wow.
And then we came back from Japan.
Well, our trip in a few days is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
In some notable ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun to do it this way. I mean, as much as it was so fun to be, you know, inside and learn so much about our coworkers and get to see, you know, the inside of Nintendo. Like, it's hard when you are going to a country that you love on a business trip, because a lot of the times you don't really get to see what you want to see. And you're trapped in all-day meetings, and you look out the window and you're like, oh, too bad. You know, I don't have very many days here, and it's not a vacation, so you're not going to, like, go do stuff, you know? So this will be a different trip where we actually get to do something we wanted to.
Yes. We asked our Patreon subscribers if they had a chance to go to Japan, what's the one gaming-related thing they would really want to do? Got some cool answers.
All right.
Victaris GX says, if I could bring my family with me, I'd have a family fun day at one of the massive arcades. I hear there are not many left, and I'd love to take my kids to one before they disappear.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do that.
We're definitely going to do that.
Pop into some arcades, yeah. Not pachinko, mind you.
No. Real arcades.
The most unnatural sound when those sliding doors open from one of those pachinko parlors.
It will, I think that is like a soul grating noise. Like, it's really hard to describe what that sound feels like.
Two different things. Angel Amador says, probably I wouldn't go out of my way to do it, but I would try and find as many poke lids as I can. Is this referring to
the storm drain covers?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
I saw they were putting one of those in at the museum, the Nintendo museum.
What
Mr. Furukawa came out for that, to get this manhole cover.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
I love it.
I don't know, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen one of those in person. Well, maybe we'll see one.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
We'll definitely try to find one. That's cool.
Chadir says, we are going in a couple months, and my girlfriend is wanting to do the generic video game plumber kart race through the streets of Tokyo.
Oh.
I just want to go to the Nintendo store and the Kirby Cafe and some overpriced retro game shopping, of course.
Is it really overpriced there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we have one place that maybe is off the beaten path. That we're going to see if it's better, that I will not be naming.
No, because
then
people are going to come.
They're going to snipe.
They're going to buy your stuff.
They're going to snipe our stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mario Kart thing was kind of controversial.
Yeah.
And it definitely got shut down
did.
hard. But I guess it's still...
It's back up.
It's back?
I saw it. I saw a news article that was back up.
But not with Mario...
No.
So you're just in carts. Just in carts.
But it looks very similar.
In a way that they won't get sued. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Kirby Cafe, we're unable to get into the main Kirby Cafe.
We don't know.
Maybe.
We have to look at the reservations when we get there.
But there are different types of Kirby cafes.
We're definitely going to go to a Kirby Cafe.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yes.
Get ready to eat like a cake or something.
I will. And finally, Dio Lixon says, I'd have to go do Kabuki-cho and beat up some thugs in Theater Square. That had not crossed my mind. Are we going to be going there? Are we going to be scouting that out?
I guess we could.
Going to put on my best white shoes and, alligator, whatever?
Yeah.
And go strut our stuff?
Okay. So plans?
I mean, I'd like to go see it.
Okay. Let's go see it.
I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should do that. It's only right. Wow.
Live your best Yakuza life.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be fun. Exciting stuff.
All right. Wow, that was a huge story. Let's talk about some games we are playing. We got a a big bunch
I know.
this week. I don't know how this happened. Oh, and I have one more to add to this, too.
You do?
I'm going to add it right now.
What is it?
I'm going to add it. There.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Star Wars Outlaws, but we're not going to start with that. We're going to start
Star
with
Wars.
Dead Rising. There is a new version of Dead Rising that I think is coming out this week that I have had a chance to play.
I was scared.
Now, Dead Rising is not a game that you have any familiarity with, I take it.
I'm too scared.
No. Okay. This was a game that first came out, gosh, when was it? This was a pretty early Xbox 360 game, and then it became kind of a series, and there were other games. I think they did a couple other games, but the first one was, again, a pretty early Xbox 360 game. Felt one of the first games that felt properly next gen in that generation. Like, there had been a lot of games that's like, oh, it's in HD now, it looks really nice, but this game, the concept of it is you are trapped in a mall with zombies.
Oh.
And it's a lot of zombies. Like, there are some scenes where it's like you're at the Tokyo Game Show, but it's zombies.
No.
It's like literally shoulder to shoulder zombies. So that was a true next gen moment of like, oh my gosh, like there are so many, things on the screen that are moving around independently all at once.
That sounds scary.
It is a zombie themed game, and I remember at that time, like, zombie stuff was so popular.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, The Walking Dead. There were so many the zombie survival guide. Everybody had that book.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody went to Urban Outfitters and bought the zombie survival guide.
There's that one movie too that came out around that with Brad Pitt.
There were so many.
Yeah.
Obviously, Capcom has Resident Evil, which has its own kind of zombie vibe.
Yeah.
This one is a bit more tongue-in-cheek, does not take itself as seriously.
Right.
Obviously, there's a movie that has a very similar premise from, I think it was from the 70s, where, again, you're trapped in a mall that's full of zombies.
Yeah.
But this game has, and I've been reminded playing through this new version, has a lot of really interesting ideas that you just don't see in a lot of games these days. So everything is on kind of an ongoing clock, and they're like, we're going to drop you off here. You're a photojournalist, is what you are, and you're dropped off to investigate like what is happening, and get some cool scoops on what is happening in this mall. Because you're like, oh, we heard there were riots in this town. We're going to send you in, and you're going to go find out. Turns out it's zombies, and they're like quarantining the whole city because it's overrun with zombies.
Okay.
So we're going to drop you off. We're going to pick you up in 72 hours. So you have 72 hours that you can structure however you want. And there's other, human survivors in the mall as well, and they're all on their own little routine and clocks. And you will get kind of notifications as the time passes of like, oh, this person got killed, or this person, something happened to this person. It's like, okay, well, there was something that you could do with them, but if you don't get to them in time, it's just
they're done.
It's just kind of kaput. You miss your chance. Oh. So it is a game that's meant to be replayed again and again. And like it does definitely have some of those like roguelike aspects to it, like where if you die, you can start over and kind of retain some of the progress that you have made.
That's kind of cool.
Which at the time was a very foreign idea. Like roguelikes were not as prolific in games as they are now. But yeah, that whole idea of having a running clock and so many little things and so many little story details and characters that you can just miss is something that is really unique. Running around the mall is very cool. It's kind of survivalist of I'm raiding the bowling store and I'm getting a bowling ball and I'm caving some heads in with this bowling ball. And you can
whatever things you find.
Yeah, whatever you can find. And there's like a lot of stuff that you can use. Like that's part of the fun is like finding like, well, what can I use to survive
defend myself
for a while? And as time goes on, you find out there's kind of a bigger story of like why are these zombies here? How did this happen? That you will start to uncover.
I see.
But yeah, this is a really memorable game for me to go back to, and one that I think it mostly holds up. There are some things about it that feel a little bit dated, but on the whole, it was a really cool game to go back to.
Nice.
And I think like this was the right one to do. I kind of fell off the series after this one. It didn't feel quite as unique after that. But I think a lot of people, who experience that same generation of hardware will feel similarly about this game of like, oh yeah, that was one of the really different and special games of that generation.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds less scary than I thought it did, actually.
It's not.
There are a lot of jump scares, though.
No, like it's extremely tongue in cheek. This game has a real sense of humor.
Okay, that's good.
It definitely has a sense of humor.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I just don't
It's
like
not-
the
it's
real
not
gore
res-
zombie.
There's a good amount of gore. There's famously. So you're getting like experience and you're like getting stronger and you're getting buffs as you gain levels. There's a famous thing that you can do if you go down to the parking lot. That's where the most zombies are. You can actually get a car and just do donuts in the parking lot and mow down these endless zombies, and that's how you level up really fast. That was a trick I still remember.
Did you do it?
I have not done it. I have not made it back there yet, but I was like, I'm gonna do this. So yeah, don't mistake it with like a hardcore horror game. It's definitely something
that's good.
A little bit different.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
We also checked out this weekend the Splatoon 3 Grand Festival.
We did. Yeah,
which
we
was
jumped back
a lot of fun.
into Splatoon 3. We had a really fun Kit and Krysta meetup, a pre-function, as it were, to the Great Grand Festival.
Yeah.
With our community. That was great. It was so fun. I love playing this game with our community. It's like perfect. And after we all kind of did that, we went our separate ways and went into the Splatfest and poked around. That whole area that they've set up for the Grand Festival is so well done. It's like, how do they capture the vibes of like this big, outdoor concert, very Coachella, very Burning Man kind of, music festival? Like they really did a good job capturing that. And you really do feel like when you're like at one of those stages, like you are experiencing this kind of like music festival. So I really applaud them. Like that's a big deal that they went through to a big deal to do this, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a limited time event. So they've said that you can go back and re-access that stuff. If you have an amiibo, you can go back to the event grounds, which I think is great.
That's
because
good,
some people might not have been able to play.
Right.
And it's just so cool. Like you can tell they put a ton of resources and effort into making this special thing. This is the end of the updates and kind of the service part of Splatoon 3, so they're really going out with a bang. And you and I have been pretty critical of Splatoon 3, of it feeling, for us at least, as people who are not like diehard playing daily players, it's like, did we need a Splatoon 3? Like, could this have been a Splatoon 2 continuation?
Right.
But I think this is really Splatoon at its best.
Right.
Where it is, really connecting with the community, kind of building upon what the series has been over 10 years and really doing something that is, frankly, unfamiliar, for a Nintendo game to be doing. I've seen games like Fortnite do these live in-game concerts. Mm-hmm. This is, as Nintendo likes to do, they're doing it in a Nintendo way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that absolutely felt like that. But it felt really special. Like people were, just loving it, and saw so many people, like ourselves, who maybe, are not playing Splatoon every day, like jumping back in just to experience it. Seems like a huge win for them. Mm-hmm. So Team Past, that was kind of the three choices were
past, present, future.
Team Past won.
Yes.
And I saw some people talking about this, and I had to follow up with some people in our community because they were saying like, "Oh, this is going to impact the direction
of the next
game."
Yeah.
Which at first I scoffed at.
But
some people did point me in the direction of ask the developer for Splatoon 3. They're like, "No, we actually used the results from Splatoon 2 to kind of influence the direction that we took with Splatoon 3." So there is something to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there were a lot of people like really feeling like they had something writing on this of like.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people saying, I'm curious about them exploring the past of the Splatoon universe.
Right.
And
origin story.
And now that's on the table for them to do that. I think that's really cool. I would say, it's very open to interpretation. Like they could do something, interpret the past any
In
number
any
of
way
ways.
they
So
want
it's
to,
not
yeah.
a guarantee that that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But again, it's something that feels so un-Nintendo to take feedback from the community. I noticed that they never positioned the Splatfest publicly this way.
Yeah.
It was really only in some of those deeper cut interviews
Yeah.
that they were talking about that. So I don't think it was really known to a lot of people. And I think it's probably for the best that they didn't say, shape the future of Splatoon.
No,
like
that's
that,
weird.
That would be.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably overpromising.
I think that would be a mistake for
Yeah.
them to do that. But that's a huge wrinkle for this.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at, looking at this, experiencing this grand festival, even though I'm not like a diehard Splatoon fan, I'm just really amazed at like the culture that they have created out of nothing, basically. Like this, I would say this game has probably the most like unique DNA, community, and culture that is actually like represented within the game in such a fun way. Like they've done such a good job like creating that vibe and what it means to play these games, what it feels like to be in this universe. Like that's really a special thing. And yeah, I think that because this game is so community driven, it's nice that they are taking some feedback from the players. And yeah, I do wonder what the next one is going to be like, and I'm sure they're thinking about like what Splatoon for the Switch 2 generation is going to look like. But they have some cool opportunities here to make it really stand out and really feel different and unique. So
yeah, I just want them
building on that too.
I just want them to keep kind of pushing the envelope, and I think it's too soon for them to just say like, well, this is what Splatoon is, and we can't take any more risks or try anything new. Like, and that's kind of what I felt like they were doing with Splatoon 3, maybe
totally
too much. So I'm really excited for a future Splatoon game. It's something that I want to get back into.
Yes.
In a way that I just didn't feel encouraged to do with this game. So, but yeah, this totally like brought back the Splatoon love in a big way.
Yeah, totally. It was really fun.
You have been playing a game that just came out called Yars Rising.
Yeah, this was a fun game. We saw a bit of this at PAX. I was able to snag a code for this game. And it's such a cool way of doing like a sort of like a Metroidvania type of game. So you do have this main character, and you're trying to infiltrate this like corporate office, and there is a lot of that sort of side-scrolling, platforming, that type of action. But very much like a Metroid game, you are going into these areas, you're like hacking these computers, and every time you do a hack, it's like a different little puzzle game that you're doing. And either it unlocks doors so you can traverse into different areas, or it gives you a power. So I played for a couple hours over the weekend. I was able to unlock 2 new power-ups for my character. I can now do this like laser hand, like magic thing that comes out of your hand thing that like actually takes down enemies. Before you had to like kind of stealth sneak past them. And now with like the upgrade, you can like shoot them, which is kind of cool. There's also like passive abilities, and there's like a little map that comes out that almost looks like a Tetris grid. You have to like Tetris the abilities into the little grid, your passive abilities, and there's only certain slots, so you can only like have limited abilities to put in. So it's really clever. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. It's really, really fun. It's like not as I was gonna say like not as like challenging, but it's probably not the best way to describe it. Like it's a little bit more forgiving, I think, than a Metroid game, which can be like extremely hard.
Okay.
But it's really cool. Like I want to collect more powers. Like every single time you do one of those hacks, like it's a little bit different puzzle. So the gameplay feels like pretty fresh. Every time you do walk up to one of those consoles to do something, you're like, I don't know what to expect. Like something, is going to ask me to do something that I've never done before. And it's fun to see like what power you're going to get and how to progress through the game. And yeah, there's a bunch of different characters that you're meeting throughout. A lot of good character development. She has like a crush that that is like trying to help her, but she's like secretly like kind of in love with him. So it's really cute.
So this is based on a very, very old Atari game. Like, is there any like overt way to know that if you weren't already knowledgeable about that old game?
I didn't see it, but I was not knowledgeable of the
So there's
old
nothing
game.
like in the menu of like, here's the history of, I think Yars Revenge was the name of the original game.
I've not seen that.
It's a game that I've only, experienced through the 50th anniversary collection that they put out a while ago. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
This is a way forward game, right?
It is.
Yeah, I gotta check it out then.
It's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really, really good.
Wow. You also played another game called Doomsday Paradise.
I did.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting game as well. This one, you basically, the premise of the game is the world is going to end in 6 days. And you start the game, basically counting down to the sixth day when the world comes to an end. And you have to make all these decisions as the player on how you're going to spend your time. And you can pick different characters. So you pick like your character, and there's a whole bunch of different ones to pick from. And then you also pick like the person that you want to like have a crush on. So there's a whole bunch of selections of that. And the point is that like you can make any choice you want. Like some of them are very like not serious choices. But each choice will get you some sort of power up to help you with the 6th day when you have to defeat this boss. And they say like when you first start the game, like don't worry about it too much. You're probably not going to defeat the boss on your first run. So just like enjoy the 6 days before the world comes to an end. And so like there's all these different locations in the game. You can like go around, like it's like day 1. What do you feel like doing when you wake up? And you're like, you can say like go to the bar, and then you go to the bar and like an event happens, or like you can say like let's go check out the beach or whatever. Between the end and the beginnings of a new day, there is a little like battle with like a demon. And then at the end of the 6th day, you do fight the big boss, which is just like apocalyptic, like Dark Knight on a horse.
Yeah.
I lost to this person because I was not really.
You were supposed to.
I was not really like trying hard to level up my character.
Yeah.
I was choosing the options like party, sleep in, sin. I was choosing those options. I did end up with my crush, which was cool. And then you kind of like go through the ending. You obviously I got defeated by the Doomsday boss, and then it gives you an ending of like how your progress was. And when I finished my first run, it was like this is the one of like 30 endings or something like that.
Wow.
So, and then there's a bunch of different question marks for other endings that you can get based on your choices.
Okay.
So kind of interesting and really like it's funny. It's very like the dialogue is really humorous. It's got sort of a bit of a dating sim kind of thing.
Right.
I made it a point to choose the most unserious things to do during my 6 days on that first run. But yeah, I'm interested to see like if you go back and choose different characters, like what those other choices would lead you to,
And this is by the same team that did, or that is doing Moth Qubit, which is from the last Indie World, which is how we came across this game. That sounds like a very unique combination of things.
Fun. Yeah, I think it's really fun.
Cool.
And they're short. Like each of the 6-day cycles are really short.
Right.
So if you didn't like the ending that you got and you didn't like that person you were crushing on, you could like choose somebody else and try again.
Yeah.
You've
been playing both of these last 2 games on Switch, right?
I have, yes. Yeah. They've been great on Switch.
I have returned to Star Wars Outlaws after a little bit of time away.
Nice.
If you remember, I started the game, was digging it, and then I got into one of these hardcore stealth segments that had these instant fail states that I was not loving. And I kind of got distracted by some other things. And along the way, they came out and said, yeah, maybe we made some mistakes with those segments. We're going to put out a patch that's going to make this stealth not as frustrating. So I thought, well, perfect.
You'll wait then.
I want to get back into this game. I didn't like those, so that's when I will go back in.
Yeah.
So that patch is out, and I finally did go back to it. It turns out that I was almost at the end of that stealth segment anyway.
Oh, okay.
So I still have not really had a chance to try one of those out, the instant fail stealth segments, and find out how those
There's
are.
got to be more of those.
I've heard there are more coming.
Yeah.
So that will be a big test for this game. And I really hope they do, because I've been having a really good time with it now that I'm beyond that. I'm at a point where, I have pretty much full access to the open world. You do eventually go to other worlds, so I'm on sort of the first planet.
Yeah.
But again, this is a game, you're kind of in the criminal underworld. You choose these different factions and do missions for them, and then you have kind of an ongoing gauge of whether they like you or don't like you.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because like there's a faction that I'm on the good side with, and I took a job from one of the competing factions, and they're like, infiltrate their base. I was like, well, they just let me in because they like me. So I could just walk right in and take this thing, and they didn't even know.
Oh.
Where otherwise, like, you would have to do like real stealth or like shoot your way through. So that's kind of interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Of, like, playing these different sides against each other.
You're not to be trusted because you're playing both sides.
You can totally do that. Yeah, and so there's 3 factions. Wow. I imagine at there's probably at a minimum 1 that's mad at you at any given time.
Okay.
I want to be in with the Hutts. I like the Hutts. Jabba the Hutt. I'm into that. So that's the one that I'm really. That's the one that I'm really trying to
ingratiate yourself.
Yeah, cozy up to the Hutts.
Okay.
But just as I was feeling when I was starting this game, like they do really nail the Star Wars vibe, which is kind of a vague, nebulous thing. But being a Star Wars fan for as long as I have, like I definitely feel it. Like they really like have that down well, which I really like. And now I've had a chance to explore the open world and see more stuff. And it's not like the classic Ubisoft meme open world where it's just like the map is lousy with towers and whatever to take down.
Things for you to do and
it's
stuff.
It's a bit more restrained about that stuff, which I think is good. But I'm enjoying getting around. It does have a lot of fast travel too. If you're like, I just don't want to. Okay. I don't want to hoof it. Like you totally can't. But the visuals of this game when you're outside in the open world are really, really nice. Mm-hmm. And I'd seen some people saying that, but when I was starting the game, I was in some more like interior environments, like some more like dark and grimy like bases and stuff. And I was like, oh, it looks fine, but I don't really see what the fuss is about. But now I do.
Okay.
Now that I'm out in the world and like there's so many nice vistas where it's like, oh, there's like, you can see the moon of this planet off in the distance, and there's other starships like flying around.
That's cool.
They clearly put a lot of time in the design of this first planet. So I'm really liking it. I'm a little bit concerned about when I get to that next
more stealth
segment. So there are other stealth segments where, again, if you get in the gym, you can just shoot your way out.
Okay.
But
it's the instant fail.
The instant fail.
We don't know if that's changed.
So they have said that the instant fail is still there, but it's a lot more lenient about you getting caught.
Detected. I see.
So
yeah, that's good.
I like that. If I'm going to shoot my way out, I'm not always going to be able to do it. Maybe I'll die, but at least I feel like
I had a chance.
I had some agency over it versus like them blowing a whistle and be like, it's game over.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
I think that stinks. So I am really hoping that is resolved because I want to like this game. I'm liking it now more that I'm back into it.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this game because it feels like it got completely written off.
Overshadowed,
and like it was out for like a few days and everybody's like, well, it's a 7 out of 10. Nobody needs to bother with this abomination of a game.
Oh.
So let's all just move on. It feels like people have just collectively moved on from this game.
That's too bad. Yeah.
But it's clicking with me, so I want to keep going. So Zelda's going to be coming out. We're going to get that when we're in Japan.
Yes.
The Plucky Squire is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's going to be my game on the plane.
Hopefully we can get it before
to Japan. It's coming out before we go. Yeah?
Right? Okay.
That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. It'll be out.
Oh, good.
You can have it. And then I also did order, I'm going to get this later, Space Marine 2, Warhammer Space Marine 2. For some reason, that game, the physical, I want to get a physical. That game's $70. So I'm like, I want to get the physical of this if I'm spending $70.
That's a lot of money.
Exactly. It seems kind of hard to come by, the physical version. So it's like, this won't come until early October, which I'm like, fine.
No time anyway.
I'm going to Japan. My time will be spoken for.
Okay.
Which is a car that has zombie arms that flail around.
That's kind of cool.
And like a big exposed brain on the top, which is neat. But so a number of different things I've been checking out since I last played. I got the PS5 version, so I've been checking that out kind of as I've been playing the Switch version before. And remember, my feeling was the Switch version was good, surprisingly solid, like in terms of visuals and you know how the gameplay was holding up. But the load times on PS5, there's like
no load time.
almost no load time. So I've found myself playing more and more on the PS5.
Yeah.
Mostly for that reason.
Yeah.
It does look really good though, also.
Nice.
So it's like, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's obviously.
I'll keep going on the PS5. I'll sort of mortgage, the ability to have the portability.
Yeah.
Just because, it's saving me time. So I do appreciate that. I had been trying to really get a feel for, how do I feel about this game versus the last game, which was Steel Titans 2. And I am kind of coming to the conclusion, which is kind of a cop-out, but it's like they're both in the same ballpark of quality, I would say. But again, they have two very different hooks. Where with Steel Titans 2, the older game, it has this big open world, all these different open worlds where if you want that and you want the ability to just drive around and do stuff, like, that's probably the game for you. But if you want a bit more like, meat and potatoes, like just get me into these events and let me do those, like this game probably does that a little bit better because you would sometimes like end up like just navigating these open worlds. Like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going to trigger this next event, which sometimes got a little bit tired. I think as far as like the way the cars control is very similar between the two. They feel big, they feel heavy, they feel powerful, which is good. This game I still think is a little too overdoing the races outside of stadiums. I just am not sure that's the greatest thing to do in these games because, it's like a Mario Kart race where you're on like a track or on a set path. But these cars are so big and there's like 8 or 10 of them on the track. Like you just end up bumping into people or getting stuck behind somebody because it's not like you're on this giant wide track. It's like, no, it's just like, the usual
trail,
kind of road. So like there is a lot of challenge of like getting around somebody and it's so easy to get hung up on somebody or again, just stuck behind somebody. Yeah. So I prefer like the stuff that you're actually doing in a stadium or the actual events that you do.
Yeah, that seems to be more true to real life too.
Yeah, like there's no
actual monster car races.
No, there's not.
They're all in the arena.
It's something they kind of made up to kind of fit the conceit of a video game.
I don't think they should have done that.
I could honestly. It seems like every Monster Jam game, like in history, has had something like that though. There must just be not the like. People just must not feel confident of like there's enough there to stay in a stadium.
Maybe.
Or people want this kind of fantasy of taking this things out of a stadium and driving around, which I can understand. There are also some events where you are in an outdoor setting, like kind of doing what you would be doing in a stadium, like, do as many cool tricks as you can.
Yeah, that's what I imagine.
Or like crash into this many boxes. And those are neat because it's like, oh, I'm in the forest or I'm on like a glacier or I'm in this big desert. Like those feel cool. Those are neat. So again, I'm a little bit. I don't feel like I can say like one is definitely better. I think it really comes down to how you feel about the open world stuff or not. Thankfully, I've also hit the point where I'm starting to unlock a lot of cars.
So just more like trying out different cars and stuff these days?
Yeah, it was a little slow to get going, honestly. Like I think they could have started doing that a bit quicker, but now I've started to unlock. I've probably got like 10 cars unlocked, but
nice.
No Megalodon yet.
So hard to get the Megalodon.
Give the people the Megalodons what they want.
Whoa.
Jeez. Okay, last game. We both finished Astrobot.
We did.
We did it.
We did it. We beat Astrobot.
Yes.
We both wanted to finish this game before we went to Japan, and we were able to do just that. After you kind of finished everything, what were your final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I didn't have too much left after we did the podcast last week. I probably finished it like a day or two later.
Right.
Some of the big things I did, I had the Horizon tribute themed level to do, which was really cool. I can't remember if we talked about, I don't think I mentioned the Loco Roco level.
Yeah, the Loco Roco
which
level.
was a completely different, like all motion based, rolling ball kind of level.
Yeah.
And then there's like the big, we shouldn't talk about the ending level, but that's like a big kind of feel good moment.
Yeah.
Kind of building upon what the rest of the game's doing. Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel too different about it. I think it's amazing. I think it's doing so many cool things in a 3D platformer. I think that just like the feel of the game is really, really, really elite as far as, your input matching what the character's doing on the screen. I did later on start to get into some of those more challenging levels,
yes,
like
the triangle, square,
the PlayStation button style levels, and I appreciated those. I appreciated that there's kind of a harder echelon of levels that you can do. So that's great that that's there. I mean, yeah, I think this is, appropriately being discussed as a Game of the Year candidate. I'm not going to go so far as to say that today. There's a lot more games to play.
What are you going to commit to?
But I think I would definitely give it something in the 9 range.
Yeah.
The one criticism that I do have is something that I started to feel more and more as I got into the game.
One-shot kills?
You get one shot killed in this game, and I think it should probably be 2.
In a boss fight, you do have some extra
In a boss fight, they do give you some extra
hits. Hearts. In the regular levels, especially those really hard challenge levels, yeah, one-shot kills.
And my point in saying this is, I think most of my deaths were me getting hit by a projectile or an enemy that was like coming off screen that I never saw coming.
Well, cheap.
Yeah, like there's so many enemies that will like spit something at you or throw something at you that's like kind of on a timer when they'll do it. And like there were so many times where I was like, all right, I'm gonna turn around and just get hit right with one of those and it's like start over. Yeah. And the game starts up again really fast, but it's like, I don't really feel like I earned that death necessarily.
I get that, yeah.
So again, I think this is where like the Mario model really works of having it's like, okay, you can get a power up and then you can take another hit and then it's like really risky, so you better be careful. I think that is something that maybe would have served this game well to have.
Yeah. I generally agree with you. I feel like I die so much in a 3D platformer that it just becomes like a nothing to me because I'm so used to it. I will give this game so much kudos and props for like such a good load time. It's basically no load time at all.
Yeah.
I've noticed, because I die so much, that the music just keeps playing.
Right. I've seen a lot of people make that point. As long as the music keeps playing, it's no hard feelings. Yeah.
Literally, it's like, I don't know. It's not even a second.
Right.
Like, you get hit. You die.
Yeah. And the game's very generous with checkpoints, too.
Oh, the checkpoints are very generous.
So, again, it's not a big deal, but it was just something I was like,
If only. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of friction being introduced.
Sure. Yeah. I can see it, but I wasn't really bothered too much by it. I absolutely loved the Horizon level because of those games. I love those.
You love Horizon.
I love Horizon. I'm a huge Horizon fan. I played both those games to death, and I just love that universe. And it was just the same thing, the same feeling that I had with the God of War level that we both love so much. Just that these levels are like a love letter to whatever series they are, they're paying tribute to. And just all the little details, they did such a good job. Like, not just with the big things that were part of that level, but like the little holograms that they had there. They had all those crystals there that were so part of that, Horizon game. They have even like the way that the entryways open and close, that like triangle entryway is like very iconic. I love, getting all the other Horizon characters as bots. I climbing that tall neck again. I had such a great moment of doing that in the Forbidden West game.
But you said you're still excited for Lego Horizon after this.
Oh yeah.
I'd be so mad if I was Lego.
Oh really?
And you made this awesome level that's probably going to play way better than our game.
It's probably going to play way better than Lego. But I love the idea of like a humorous.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's what that was in Astrobot. It was like this kind of humorous take on this like very serious game, and like a fun like Aloy character would be so great. A humorous take on that is so exciting. And then the fight, where you have to shoot the tanks. That's a very iconic thing you do in Horizon. I love it. I love every moment. You just know that you're going to get something cool from that game. You knew you were going to get the Kratos axe. You knew you were going to get Aloy's bow when you got to that level, and like, oh, so fun. Like it like slowed time a little bit, and it truly is like they just thought of every detail, because you can tell that they wanted to show that love in such an awesome way. So. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think they did such a good job with all of those tribute levels, and just Yeah, paying homage. You know, the ending really paid a lot of homage to the history of PlayStation and a very celebratory tone of, you know, of like all of the cool things that have been on this platform, and I really liked it. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It was great. It was very happy, you know?
Yeah, we dug out all of our old PlayStation stuff after this and may have a video on the way for that next week.
Yeah, because you're thinking about all the great PlayStations.
Yeah, I wonder what PlayStation learns from this. There's like obviously the sales side of it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in the news, but also just this renewed interest in some of these IPs, like Ape Escape seems to be one of the big winners of Astrobot.
Ape Escape, bring it back.
And those games are available on the PS5, but it's like, you know, do they experience some sort of Smash Brothers level renaissance or surge of interest in these games? And how do they capitalize on that? Or does that inform what kind of future direction they take with some games? I don't know, but it's a really fascinating thing to consider.
At the end, how many bots did you end up with?
Oh boy, so there's 300. I've actually heard there's more than 300. There's a couple secret ones, is what I've heard. I think I ended up with like 250 something.
Me too. Yeah. Right. I think it was 252 or something like that.
Yeah. But I absolutely love that part of the game, and they just put so much love into making sure that those are all represented, and you know, when you interact with them or when you find their little accessories, it's like layers upon layers of you really know what this is about.
I love poking around that little homeworld planet that all the bots are hanging out on, you know, and the after you get the little accessories from the gacha machine, like every single time you did something to them, I was just laughing the whole time. Like I loved Solid Snake. If you like go and like punch his box away, he's like reading like a dirty magazine.
Looking at a girly mag or something?
Yeah, or he's like all embarrassed, but he has like heart eyes. He's looking at a girly magazine. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like who had to do, 300 plus of those little details and get them approved by, hey, Konami, is this good for you?
Huge job.
It's a big deal.
Huge job.
For a smallish team, it seems. So.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
So well done.
Well done.
Yes. Wow, those are the games we're playing. That's a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Let's do some news. Woke up to the sound of jingle bells this morning.
Oh, summer is over.
Is that Mariah Carey's song? Oh my gosh.
No, it's not.
It might be in Nintendo's world because they have announced their holiday bundles.
Yes.
Perhaps the Black Friday bundles.
Oh boy.
Let's
Here
read.
we go.
It's a ridiculous thing. I'll let you read it.
Okay.
Please read this.
The Nintendo Switch OLED model Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle and the Nintendo Switch Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle will be available early this fall. Both bundles include a digital code for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game and a 12-month Nintendo Switch Online individual membership.
Wow. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Rolls right off the tongue.
So the base system, that bundle is going to be $300, $350 for the OLED bundle. We last week kind of predicted this.
We did.
We were talking about how
gotta get it out.
There's this push to announce the Black Friday thing
early?
sooner and sooner and sooner. And there's research to back this up of like, hey, people start the holiday shopping in as early as September sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So it does make sense for them to just get this out there and get it on people's minds. And it sounds like it's going to be available, before Black Friday. It's just going to be on the shelf.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole kind of strategy around Black Friday has really changed a lot in the last couple of years. Of like, why focus it on this one day when we can just sell this thing
for like a whole season
and sell more?
Yeah, exactly.
But still have a big pop around the day itself.
And people don't shop like that anymore. Like the whole Black Friday, like
storming Target,
door busters,
stomping
or whatever.
grandma to get the door buster.
Yeah, people. I think that's been largely frowned upon now. So I don't think we're doing that anymore. So why not have these things out early?
Yeah.
They might have some other bundles come out this holiday though.
I was just going to say.
I think that they will actually. I'm not going to say they might. I think they will.
I'm not going to rule out the possibility of more bundles.
Yeah.
There was the Mario Wonder bundle that we talked about last week. That got confirmed for a few other countries, not for NOA.
Yeah.
Might still see it though.
Might still see it.
And there may be others.
There might be others.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yes. Heavy bundling is the plan.
This is the time to do it.
The heavy bundling begins.
Yeah, this is the time to do it.
I really got jump scared though when I opened this up and the start of the video was like a Christmas wreath. Come on.
Not even Halloween.
Not even Halloween.
Can't do this right now.
Don't be the guy to do this, Nintendo. That's not cool. Jeez.
Not ready yet.
But yeah, clearly this is their big plan of, the tried and true old warhorse of the Mario Kart 8 bundle.
Oh yeah.
Going to carry them through the holiday.
It's gonna sell. It's gonna sell.
No price cut. Yeah, this is a proven winner. But yeah, I think the door is still open for more bundles.
Yeah, totally.
We just missed this for last week's episode, the reveal of the PlayStation 5 Pro. So we got to talk about that.
Oh boy,
right?
yeah.
We got to jump into that capital D discourse.
I love how we underestimated the price.
What did we say?
We were $100 off.
So we said $599.
We said $600.
So the price is $699.
Yeah.
It's coming out November 7th. It is a digital-only
right.
system. If you want the disc drive, it costs an additional $79. I have seen people saying that the disc drive has become hard to find.
Oh.
Whether that's, scalpers, loading up on those, or people who are just like, I want to be, at this premium price point, I'm going physical, so I don't care. Has been met with a lot of, it's not been a positive launch for them. On the YouTube video where they reveal this, it's, that you can do likes and dislikes, and it's basically 2/3 disliked. So that's quite shockingly negative on their part. What is your, almost a week later, what is your reaction to this thing?
It just doesn't seem like something I need. It doesn't feel like the graphical upgrades, the processing upgrades that were discussed during the presentation is something that I, care about that much. And yeah, for the price, it's hard to justify that. I think it's really tough for a lot of people to justify that. So
it did seem to bleed into some just general interest conversations. Like I've seen like some people who just comment on things that are happening in the world. This is representing like the diminishing returns of technology these days. Or those side by sides they had in the video were a little bit ridiculous. Where it's like I can barely see a difference.
Yeah.
This costs $700.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised at some of the vitriol that this is being met with because it's a very much not for everybody kind of device.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not mad that this exists. Mm-hmm. It's a very quick no for me. I'm extremely happy with my day one launch PS5 that has a disc drive and still runs great. And most of those games look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So if people want to go out and get this, fine. I don't really care. But there seems to be, a lot of people who are just upset that this exists. And I'm not entirely sure why. We've seen this pattern before. There was a PS4 Pro, and when that came out, I think there was some concern of like, are developers just going to start favoring that because they like having more power? If I have a base PS4, am I going to get screwed because these games are going to run worse and worse and worse? It kind of didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
And people have come out and said, the amount of PS4s that were Pro models were in the 10 to 15% range.
Yeah.
So a very small group of the total audience. These developers still have to, really consider
the larger audience.
The larger audience that has the base system. So I don't think those sorts of concerns, nobody needs to be worried about that. That's not going to happen.
Are people worried about that?
I don't know. It's like, what is fueling the rage behind the PS5 Pro?
I think there's a lot of people that are just appalled at the price, but you don't have to buy it.
The price is appalling. I don't think this is the price Sony wanted to launch it at.
No,
I think because they've been raising prices on things in some countries.
Those margins are razor thin for components.
So I imagine they would have liked to release this at $599, which is still a lot of money, but obviously less.
Yeah. I don't think they're making much money off of this.
They just couldn't do it, so they just kind of had to bite the bullet.
Yeah. I agree that it's one of those things where quickly I know that it's not for me. I'm not a graphics driven gamer at all, really. Most of the time I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not for me, but somebody will buy it.
Right.
Somebody wants to.
I also wonder, seeing the reaction to this, Xbox has been touting that their next system is going to be the most powerful Xbox by a huge margin, or whatever the line is that they've been putting out there. Are they rethinking that? I've been asking them to rethink that since they said it for the very first time.
Yeah,
seeing this,
that's not great.
I think they should rethink it.
That's probably not what people care about.
The diminishing returns are in full effect.
Yeah.
It's like the technology has far outstripped like human beings' ability to take full advantage of it and to see some of the differences. So you might be building yourself up for some disappointment if you keep touting, oh, your mind's going to be blown, it's going to be so powerful, it's going to knock your socks off, and then the game looks marginally better.
Right.
Which has kind of been what these generations have been.
This is what
marginal
happens
improvements.
when you hang your hat on graphical improvements, though.
Yeah.
Known this from the beginning. Like, what did you think it was going to be? Is my
well, when you keep saying that, like people are going to believe it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have seen something this incredible.
Well, people are stupid then
like,
because you
probably
have seen something that
This is what they're telling you, though.
Well, have some judgment, like your own way of coming to your own conclusion. Don't take everything at face value.
I think if you want to be enthusiastic about something, you'd be like, oh, maybe they will. Maybe they can pull it off. Yeah, Microsoft, they.
But your eyes can't pull it off because you're a human being. So, I don't understand why you would think that.
I think they are going
blow your mind.
head first into massive disappointment if they keep going down that path. So I think this is maybe a little wake-up call for them of like, look at what happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also in Sony land, so we have not yet received a big official update on Astrobot sales, but we do have sales, some sales data coming out from the UK and Japan.
Yeah.
And I wish we could get more from some other countries because these it's hard it's often hard to interpret like what this means in a global sense from just these two countries. But by all indications, it was not a huge launch in either. Maybe surprising. So in the UK, it was a third lower than 2021's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. More copies in the UK than Concord sold worldwide.
But this is physical.
Yes, right. And then in Japan, it was under 12,000 copies sold. But PS5 is really hurting in Japan since that's where they raised the price. Yeah. So it's just like kind of like they're kind of conceding Japan a little bit at that point.
It might have done huge numbers in the in the Americas though.
Well, you can say that. But this is kind of what happened with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where everybody was like, oh, this game, it got these, lauded review scores, everybody's loving it, everybody's so happy. And then this is what happened. You got the first wave of data from the UK and Japan. It's like, oh, maybe it's not going to be all that. And it turns out it kind of wasn't. So I don't know what to make of this. I think that would be a huge bummer if this game ended up being a commercial disappointment. I do think if that happens, though, part of it is on Sony for training their audience to, only care about, AAA cinematic sad dad games and, kind of leaving generations of players and their fans to not really know what this game is or why it's fun. So we don't know, but that was what I thought was like, oh, this is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. All over again.
I really hope not.
And that would be sad.
This game is so amazing. It's such a great thing for Sony to have a success on because I think that would help to, balance out the stuff that they release. And we talked about this a little bit last week. It's like they really did let this pendulum swing too far to one side. It'd be great if Sony can find some balance because this game is a success for them. But if this game isn't a success, that's going to be a much harder...
Should have put it on the Switch. That's the conclusion of my 8-hour video essay on YouTube. Please watch it. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Please watch it.
Aww.
This last story is mysterious.
Very
mysterious. And maybe by the time this episode's out, there will be some resolution to this.
Yeah.
But over at Annapurna Interactive, the 25-person team over there has resigned from the company.
Yeah. Mass exodus.
Gone. They gone.
Yeah.
All of them. It seems they have been having some sort of a dispute with their parent. So it's kind of... Annapurna is actually a much bigger company.
Like a media company.
That's in movies and other forms of media. So Annapurna Interactive is the
games division.
More indie-oriented division. And they've done stuff like Stray, Outer Wilds, What Remains of Edith Finch. So like really like top shelf indies.
Yeah.
Prestigious.
Prestige indies.
And they've been having a dispute with their parent company. The owner of that, Megan Ellison, who's the daughter of Larry Ellison, who is the head poobah of Oracle.
Our old neighbor.
Our previous neighbor at Nintendo. Major bajillionaire Larry Ellison.
Yes.
Which is interesting. And they said they had been in some discussions to spin off the gaming division into its own thing, and that's what this dispute has been about. And it's reached the point where they've just left.
Right.
And there was some panic of what happens to, they have many games that they have commitments
lots of
to
contracts.
publish. They've come out and said they're going to rehire and rebuild the team.
Honor all the contracts.
And honor all of those contracts. Yeah. That seems like a tall order, depending on how close some of these games were to coming out.
Oh my God.
There was also this recent deal between Remedy and Annapurna on Alan Wake and Control, where people thought, oh my gosh, is that falling through too? But it turns out that was with a different branch of
Annapurna. That's with Annapurna Pictures, not Annapurna
Right, because it involved more than just games. It was them shopping around for TVs or movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Transmedia opportunities.
Good for them, because that would be great for transmedia opportunities.
So that is not impacted, but this is just a mess and a mystery of what happened. How did is this a negotiation tactic? What is this?
Yeah, is it like a threat of if you don't sign our deal our way, we're all going to quit.
We're all going to resign.
And then she called their bluff and was like, fine, walk out then.
Yeah. Amazing getting everybody to follow through with it.
Oh man.
I mean, that's some
this is like
stern resolve there to get everybody.
Just like the Nintendo World Championships or the inner office Nintendo Championships, where you got all of us to walk out.
Yes.
And then we all got in trouble.
I was a hero that day.
They all got in trouble now.
Oh, they're gone now.
They're gone now. I love Annapurna, and I'm like a huge fan of all of the games coming out of Annapurna, so I'm really bummed out by this. And yeah, it just seems like there's so much turmoil, in these like Humble Games had that whole thing. Now this happened. It just feels like a lot of turmoil in indie game publishing, which is concerning to me. I'm
hoping for a positive resolution to this, where I don't somehow the dispute can get resolved and these people can come back to their jobs. But I don't know at this point if that's realistic or not. It's just a very mysterious story. It is. That I hope somebody can fully, get to the bottom of. And something really bad must have happened to cause 25 people to walk out on their jobs. It's serious. Yeah. It's also a great reminder of, you think Annapurna, they're fighting for indies, they're small and plucky too. It's no, they're part of this giant, mega corporation. Yeah. Who saw a business opportunity with indies as well. And it's sometimes Devolver falls into that same category as well. So there's levels to these companies that are out there working with indies. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Wow. What a monster episode so far. It really is. Yeah. We're not done yet. Hours have gone by. We have questions. We have questions. Each and every question comes from our Patreon community. Check us out at patreon.com/KitandKrysta to get some exclusive content. Oh, yeah. Some early access. Mm-hmm. Some hangout time with you and me. Oh, yeah. Wow. All that much more. Some more. Look it up. Yes. Let's get into these questions, starting with Banana Bread Slice. Hi, Kit and Krysta. I've never worked at a place where somebody got fired, but you've mentioned what sounds like multiple people at Nintendo getting fired over your time working there. I've got to ask, what did these people do to get the boot? There is a limit to what we can say. My favorite, though, somebody was selling off things that they got from the employee store. Oh, that was a good one. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, they can track the serial numbers. And they put stickers all over that thing, do not resell. But it sounds like somebody was doing some business out of the trunk of their car. Yeah, definitely. Come on. And trying to turn a profit. But then ended up losing their job, which is probably not as much profit as you get from selling employee store items. Jeez. Yeah, there's some ridiculous things that people, things like that where someone made a really stupid mistake, trying to resell stuff, and then they got fired. Yeah. There was, definitely things where it's
more mysterious as to why. I'm trying to be so careful.
Yeah, I mean, some people will just vanish, and you don't ever find out why.
And there's like some mysterious things where it's like, okay, this person was let go for these reasons, and then the rumor mill kind of spins around exactly what happened.
Yeah. There are people who had loose lips. That's obviously a huge problem.
Yeah, that was definitely a problem.
Right.
There were people that were just like really bad, mean people.
There are people who are just a bad fit for the company.
Yeah.
It was like, we need to part ways.
Yeah, like you're just not the right kind of person to work here.
Yeah.
And everyone dislikes you, so you need to go. Yeah, but we've had lots of people come and go throughout our time at Nintendo. And we talk about this a lot. Nintendo is a very unique place to work. A lot of times people come in and don't realize what kind of company, what kind of corporate structure and like sort of culture it is. Like even you yourself had a really hard time.
This is going to be a freewheeling games company. I'm going to be skateboarding down the halls and high-fiving my boys. And it's not like that.
No, and it takes a lot of resolve for someone to kind of get used to that culture.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you'll be unhappy. And then that can lead to lots of things, and eventually you'll probably have to part ways with that company.
Yeah.
And we saw that happen a lot. So, yeah.
All right, we got Big N Gamer with a Y. Why isn't Nintendo referring to The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom game? Do you think they gave up on their silly new format for referring to games?
Clearly not.
So,
because
again,
Mario Kart bundle.
Back to this Mario Kart bundle includes...
a digital code for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game.
I think there was something that just slipped through the cracks. Oops. I saw some people pointing this out. I forget exactly what material this was, but it must have been something where Legal
didn't check it.
Didn't completely check it, or they overlooked something because they like that.
They won't let you not say that. So
would be nice if they did, though.
That would be nice. The game name is already so long. Right. The Legend of Zelda Echoes. It's like such a long name.
People should know the person who's in charge of Nintendo of America's marketing used to be the person in charge of Nintendo of America's legal.
Yeah.
So some of those legal policies will probably be very ironclad for a good long while.
Yes. Exactly.
Next we have Marvin25. Hey, Kit and Krysta, I'm more of an experienced gamer than my boyfriend who hasn't played much, especially Nintendo franchises. His first and only Zelda games were Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Nice. I have played many in the series, A Link to the Past, all the 3D mainline games, a couple of the DS games, etc. That said, I'm really excited for Echoes of Wisdom and wonder if, in your experience, newcomers to the franchise who only play the 3D games would enjoy the top-down Zelda games. Does Nintendo cater or advertise the two types of Zelda games to different audiences? I mean, time will tell, and I'll see if my boyfriend enjoys it, and I hope he does. Glad you guys enjoyed the game at PAX. You made me more hyped for it.
Nice. Yeah, I do think that they crafted Echoes of Wisdom to be kind of that bridge game between the 3D Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom games and a more traditional top-down Zelda game. There's so many things that we saw, even in the short time that we played, that were kind of like similar to Breath of the Wild. Like there's this very exploratory quality to it. There's a sense of you can choose how to solve something. There's no one right way to do something. Use your imagination and creativity to figure it out, which is very much the spirit of those more recent 3D Zelda games. And even like the way that the characters control the menus, the UI, like all that stuff is very similar to Breath of the Wild. So I think that your boyfriend will definitely enjoy this game. I think it is a very easy bridge to a top-down Zelda game, and it has all of the conveniences of a Breath of the Wild that I think people will be used to if they played those 3D games.
The last 10 years of Zelda, though, do make you question some of the logic behind this, where you would think, all right, a top-down 2D game is going to be more approachable for somebody who does not play a lot of Zelda games. That's a good entry point for them. And yet, Breath of the Wild has sold 30 million copies. Right. So clearly that is the game that is appealing to a lot of different people.
Right.
And a lot of people who have not played Zelda games before.
Yeah.
So does that logic still hold true? Is that just something that we had in our mind that is not actually reflect reality?
Well,
that
I
2D
do
games are easier to get into?
I don't think it's easier. I think that what I'm saying is I think Echoes of Wisdom is very similar to Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
So that's why I think the new people will like it.
Right.
It's not. It's actually different from a 2D Zelda game, which is good for the new people because they might not be connecting 100% with a traditional 2D Zelda game.
Yes.
I think that the thing that makes a 2D Zelda game really hard for people that come from, their first experience being Breath of the Wild is that there's often only one way to solve something. There's only one way to get out of that dungeon. And if you don't know that one way and your brain doesn't work like that, then too bad.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard for people. But with Breath of the Wild, obviously, there's like so many ways to do things. And that's what Echoes of Wisdom felt like to me. So I hope that means that more people will be able to play it and like it.
Indeed.
We'll see.
We've got Mr. Beans and Dip. Having played many Nintendo games, I often wish the Nintendo games I love gave me more of a challenge. For example, Pikmin 4 is no doubt a great game. Unfortunately, Pikmin 4 is incredibly easy, and I had to limit myself and not use tools or ice Pikmin to make the game more challenging. What is Nintendo's philosophy on having or not having difficulty options in their games? Is high difficulty reserved for specific games where high difficulty is expected? Or does Nintendo usually lean into adding optional difficulty sections in games for those wanting a challenge? For example, Darker Side of the Moon in Super Mario Odyssey, Champions Road in Super Mario 3D World, Trial of the Sage Leaf in Pikmin 4, etc. Kind of a flex for Mr. Beans and Dip there. Wow. Whoa.
I'm
I can't do that.
bragging my
I need those ice Pikmin.
Pikmin 4 masterful Don Dory gameplay. Don Dory?
We're back on Don Dory.
Don Dory.
Been a while
Don Dory
since I
the
heard that
heck
one.
out of Pikmin 4. Nintendo's philosophy is make one game as accessible to as many people as possible. So, in that sense, I do think that they are very focused on like what is going to appeal to the broadest audience. And if that means some of the games are a little too hard for some people and some of the games are a little too easy for some people, those two people are on the extremes. So we're just going to worry about the 99% in the middle that this game is going to appeal to.
Yeah.
That's why I do think they have, difficulty options that are sort of outside the main games in some of the games that you've mentioned here. The one game that is like relentlessly difficult and has no option is Metroid. So that's one where
it has options. You can make it harder.
Oh, great. Perfect. That's exactly what I need.
You can make it harder. No.
That's exactly what I need. But yeah, like the base difficulty is quite challenging, and if like you can't do it, then too bad. So yeah, they don't relent on that,
I mean, there was a time where they had a slightly different philosophy and were making some games that were meant to serve this audience that wanted more of a challenge. Like Sin and Punishment 2 is a game on the Wii that is kind of in that very classic arcade shooter style that's meant to be difficult that they published. And I think now the philosophy is more, we'll let a third party do that. We're going to make this game that's going to be for a huge audience.
Yeah.
And we'll put some stuff in there that will,
appeal to,
be satisfying for the people that want that. But from beginning to end, that's not really what we're doing.
Right.
And we'll let a third party handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true too. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Next up is Shrews. Here's a question for the podcast. I was bored and looking at job listings, and security guard for Nintendo popped up.
Oh.
I was just wondering what was like in a day of a security guard at Nintendo.
Well,
there were no security guards in Redwood City.
And our office got robbed.
And you could apparently just walk in.
Yeah, because our office literally
Which really concerned me.
You were scared.
I had the first office past
the stairwell,
the front desk, and the person at the front desk was often not there, so somebody could just walk in.
We did add those badge holders.
They did
badge scanners.
This was like after we'd worked there for 10 years, though.
I know. It was like the year of the pandemic,
and
then no one came into the office at all.
Everything was unlocked.
Yeah. So it was like it didn't matter.
Awesome.
And then there was that time we got those horrible threats on Reggie's life at GDC. And we thought that the office was going to get, because that office is GDC's in San Francisco, so the office was like there, and Reggie was coming into that office. I'm like, can someone
Seems like a lot of people there's a Nintendo office, let's go see what that's about. Mm-hmm. And just have people showing up. I mean, somehow that didn't happen as much as you would think, but...
People did drop off fan mail and stuff. Remember that? That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, they do have a lot of security people in Redmond.
They do, yeah.
And they take it very seriously. They're monitoring what's happening there. They were in charge of monitoring and keeping up on all the remote offices as well.
Yeah. That's why they added the badge scanners.
Right.
So people couldn't just walk in.
But they seem to take it extremely seriously. It seemed like they had it completely covered in Redmond. Mm-hmm. But that's like a legit job.
Yeah, they did install all those cameras. And then that's how they found out that we were having the dogs.
Oh, somebody had a dog and they got in trouble. Yeah.
They got all of us in trouble because we were bringing our dogs secretly, remember?
Well, it was very ambiguous.
Not secretly. I take that back. It was more like we were bringing our
Nobody
dogs.
said don't bring a dog.
No one said don't bring the dog. Everyone was like, let's bring the dogs. And then everyone
We even asked the people up at the top, like, can we bring a dog? They're like, maybe. Like, all right, so we started bringing the dog and nobody objected. And then one day we got caught. And then there were no more dogs.
Chili had gotten fired.
You can't hate dogs. That's not cool.
Hate dogs. That's
a red flag, right?
That's a red flag. Yeah, but that's how the security was notified.
Right.
Because they saw camera footage of a dog coming into the building.
Where isn't there a hidden camera? I don't know. You better be on your best behavior.
Better be on your best behavior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zroid has our last question. Many people are expecting a new 3D Mario platformer to release next year for Switch 2. And I can't help but think about what sort of game it might be. I'm sure I would be very happy no matter what, but the last few entries in the series have all felt quite distinct from one another. To me, Super Mario Odyssey is close to a perfect game. I don't think there was a single thing about it which I didn't love, and I couldn't even conceive of how this game could be improved upon. Then Bowser's Fury came out, and while I didn't think it was better than Odyssey per se, it definitely gave me a few things to think about regarding the future of the series. Anyway, the question I'm getting at is which of the previous 3D Mario games would you like the next entry to hew most closely to, or some combination thereof?
I want them to go in a completely different direction because I feel like it's hard to top Odyssey. Such as Donkey Kong 3D.
Oh, Mario and Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be like the Mario movie where they team up and it's like really a fun crossover kind of thing. But I would prefer a different direction than like Odyssey 2 because I think it's really hard to top what they did in Odyssey because I agree it's probably a perfect game.
Yeah, that's a game that over time I have more and more appreciation for. And just all the stuff that Cappy was such a great addition. Gave you all those transformations, gave you a lot of the really more advanced gameplay, which just seemed to keep, the depth to that was really, really huge. And I just enjoyed, the big levels and exploring those.
Yeah.
That said, I do think there's some interesting stuff that they introduced with Bowser's Fury of having a more interconnected world that they would need to figure out how to make it all work. Obviously those areas, those like levels in Bowser's Fury were much smaller.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was all interconnected was pretty cool. And I have to imagine they were testing some stuff out in that game. Of like how would we do a game? How would we do a Mario game this way? And how are people going to react to it? So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of Bowser's Fury sprinkled on the next.
That's great. They should.
But I do kind of. It's like I know the next game's not going to have Cappy. What is the Cappy moratorium that we need to have until we can bring Cappy back?
God, I love Cappy.
Really like Cappy.
Cappy's great. What a cool...
Put Cappy in a 2D game. Do that.
What a cool mechanic that was, huh?
Yes.
That was genius.
Really was.
Like, how did they come up?
Because that's the other thing. Is like, how do you not make this next game feel like a step back? Because all the stuff you could do with Cappy you can't do now.
That's what you need Donkey Kong.
What am I going to do with Donkey Kong?
I don't know. Throw a banana.
Put him on my head?
Throw a banana.
Oh, we're replacing Cappy with bananas. Perfect.
Yeah,
bananas. Good thing you're not in charge of this. Thank you to everybody who sent in a question. They were wonderful.
Thank you.
All right.
Shall we wrap up with our wonderful shout-outs?
This whopper of an episode. Wow.
Wow. All right, let's shout out our wonderful final boss, Aaron Hash.
There he
is. Continuing our NASCAR.
We may be involved in some sort of NASCAR wagering through Aaron Hash. I'm not sure exactly.
I'm not sure exactly what's happening.
I'm learning the ins and outs.
Yes, I love it though.
Yes.
All right, here come the superstars. Mara Mayhem.
Iconverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chen.
Roy Eschke.
Switching it up _.
Oh no.
VGM Life. Link the hero wins. What happened to you?
Hunter picked Molly.
What happened? Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberta Nieves.
Frederick Wolf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas.
Shieli.
Simon.
Crash Shuri.
Master Discord.
Ash.
Ajay Kundlas.
And 40 Gig. Sorry, I had a problem with my keyboard.
You freaked out?
Freaked out.
Okay.
And the One Up Club. A. Ron Burgundy.
Ale Alejandro.
Astro Dev.
Awesome 46.
Dan Moon Horizon.
Bates.
Benji B.
Big and Gamer with a Y.
Bookham Dano.
Brandon Kavapel.
Brent Dennison.
Brooke Obscura.
Brovac Novak.
Cameron.
Shadir.
Chelly Squirrel.
Crispy Saurus.
Christopher Lay.
Captain Alex.
Crimcat.
Christabel.
C. Roper 17.
Dachshund.
Doinko.
Elite Peach.
Espars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth.
Guilty Phoenix 42.
Happy Sloth.
In Space Khalil.
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando.
Jack Hoving.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Joe Encarnacion.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Justin Lemminger.
Callwood 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kiba.
Christopia Party With Me.
Cal Gamerberry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Lazy Cat 4 Coffee.
Lex.
Link 9898.
Lit.
Luigi 53.
Lynn.
Macho Potato.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G and Callie Marie.
Markman 64.
Mario Man 392.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
Michael Cravens.
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07.
Modemania.
Mr. Andy Pond.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
MSN Poke Gamer.
Mytran.
Nasir.
Nathan Burkhart.
Naif E.
Ninja 11.
Pangy.
Patrice Millette.
Paul.
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Raver.
Rain Tech.
Random Bystander here.
Record Rumble.
Ryuji Utsuho Ukuu.
Ryath 1.
Rob.
Romsky 113.
Rocks.
Rayonetta.
Sakura Sky.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinryu.
Schmiggles.
Slowbro.
Snazzle.
Spacey Poo.
Spicy Munchkin.
Seal Citron.
Pseudo Priest.
Tales of Link.
K120 and 64.
Teo Fox 64.
The Keggers.
The Shark Among Men.
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers.
Timmy V.
Torcheeks.
Totally Joe Ed.
Travis Torline.
Trajowie.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tuskoob.
Tyler Geis.
Video Game Stupid.
Vidge Michter.
Viridian.
Virtual Bot.
Weeb Kingdom.
WG Grizzy.
YU.
Wicked Davy.
Will Johnson.
Zelgaroth.
Zapatty.
And Zroid.
We have truly broken our 2-hour rule, so we best wrap this up before calamity strikes. Huh?
How long has it been?
It's been 2 hours and 21 minutes by my count.
We have to go. Do the thing.
If you're, you usually say something first. If you're watching on video, look at me pull it together. Please subscribe to this channel. Leave us a comment and a thumbs up. That's not right. You've totally thrown me off.
Okay,
If you're listening on
anyways.
audio, you can also subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and a written review if you please.
We're on the socials. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. Don't forget to follow us. Join us on Patreon to support this podcast. I also messed up all of this ending stuff.
2 hours, this is what happens.
We're going to go to Japan now. Bye!